You said that you love winning. What drives you more, the love of winning or the hate of losing?
Maybe equally, maybe both. I don't like losing, and I do like winning.
Say his name and he appears.
This is a friendship that'll never ever end.
Greetings and welcome to Winning 2024 Thursday edition. I hope you are all out there living and doing well. So good to see everybody. We're going to jump right into this tonight. Okay, change of plans. I got to explain this really quick, but thank you to all the members that are supporting us here on YouTube. Their memberships, your monthly recurring memberships, you are part of the winner circle. Thank you also to Shelly and Wolfram who support us over on Rumble, being recurring members over there. The contributions are deeply appreciated. Thank you guys so much. All right, so we had to pivot off the Vivek Ramaswamy Town Hall in Springfield, Ohio. Basically, I was going to do that on a delay. Basically, let's see how it came out, how it was going. They're having major technical issues there. It's very choppy. It's hard to follow. Questions from the crowd aren't that great. I didn't feel like it was, I think you can go back and watch it if you really want to, but I don't feel like it's a good watch for us tonight. So instead, I found that President Trump was speaking in Washington, D.C., and he is is it the right one? Yeah, okay. He's talking to the IAC about the Israel Hamas thing issue, that conflict over there, Israel Palestine. What, you can't buy memberships? Why not? So we're gonna jump up on that. Okay, thank you for the $20 super chat. We're gonna get to that. It's gonna be almost live. But so we can kind of walk that in, and we'll start with this. Thank you for the $20 super chat. Talking trash who still can't buy memberships. Now, is that just her, or is that everybody? Is that an issue with what's going on here, or is that an issue with YouTube, or just her account? We'll have to figure that one out. We'll have to figure it out. But thanks to everybody who's watching wherever you're at, and thank you for the $20 super chat. I do appreciate it. There you go. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up here, because we're gonna jump right into this and get going. Thank you guys for being here, no matter where you're at. YouTube, Rumble, or X. I'm broadcasting on all this. Welcome to all the new followers on X. I don't know if you guys have noticed, and there's people who don't use X, but wow, I got a big old circle around my name. It says live. That's new. And I got 70 new followers over on Rumble. A lot of base folks coming in and following the channel. Thank you guys so much for being here. I hope you'll stick around. All right, let's listen to what our president has to say. Oh, okay, hold on a second. We got to do this first, because we got 5 gifted memberships from Wolfram. Thank you so much, Wolfram.
It's cold up there in Vietnam. It has to do. I can't imagine a more beautiful thing. It's cold. I can tell you all about it. I mean, look at this thing. Gonna try to get out of anything.
Thank you for the 5 gifted memberships, Wolfram, proving that they do work. It's just Shelly. Okay, here we go. So apparently it's just me. Hey, Murph, how you doing? Welcome. Let's see who got this great memberships. Old Blue Eyes, awesome. I was hoping Old Blue Eyes would stop by later. Let's see how he's doing over there on Rumble, on X. Wolfkinder 3, haven't seen Wolfkinder in a minute. Maybe Wolfkinder will come back and say hello. Scottish Cot. All right, good. Diney T. And Logan Cumming. All right, guys, welcome to the winner circle. And thank you, Wolfram. If you guys happen to pop in, make sure you say thanks to Wolfram for giving this great gifted memberships. Let's go. All right, off we go here. Let's do this. Thank
you. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Miriam. I don't know if you know it, it's a great lady. This is a great lady. This is a great one. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. All right, let's sit down. Let's talk about Israel, or Israel, as they say. I love the pronunciation. I love it. But you really are. You're a great lady, a great woman, my friend. And I've known you and Sheldon for a long time. We lost Sheldon. Nobody like him, right? You would say that. Nobody like him, but nobody like you either. And he's very proud of you right now. Thank you very much. And I'd also like to thank Rabbis Yehuda Kaplun and Yaakov Kaplun, Senators Rick Scott, doing well. Where's Rick? He's doing well. I saw a poll, and another one who's doing well is Ted Cruz. Ted, stand up, Ted. Thank you, Ted. Thank you. And Lindsey doesn't have to do well because he's got another few years to go before he runs. It's something nice about that. But Lindsey Graham is terrific, terrific guy. Bill Haggerty, who's fantastic. Bill, thank you very much. And Joni Ernst. Where's Joni Ernst? Joni, thank you very much, Joni. Great, doing a great job. Those farmers love Joni. I'll tell you, she was tough, right? She came to see me, and I thought I made a deal, and then she said, no, 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 we want more, more, more. But that's what you're supposed to have, right? Good job, Joni, and you got it. Former Senator Norm Coleman. Norm, thank you. Thank you, Norm. Look good. And a spectacular person, Elise Stefanik. Spectacular. What she did to that woman at Harvard with the big, big fat glasses. That woman had no idea what was happening. That was beautiful to watch, actually. A friend of mine, Carlos Jimenez. Carlos, thank you, Carlos. Got a lot of power here. There's a lot of power here. You know, this is like the old days. Because frankly, there's been a movement going on. I call it AOC +3, but the +3 is a lot more, and we have to end that. We have to end it. We have to end it fast. I've never seen anything like it. John Carter, please. John, where's John? Thank you, John. Thank you very much. Good job. Mario Diaz-Balart. Mario, thank you. Thank you, Mario. Byron Donalds. Boy, he's a popular guy. He is, and he's a great guy with a great future. Good. I didn't see you back there. You didn't. He has so many pictures with me. He didn't need a picture. He doesn't want another picture. Ronnie Jackson. What a great guy. Think of this. He was an admiral, a great admiral, respected by everybody. Then he became the White House doctor, took care of maybe Bush a little bit, and Obama, right? And then Trump. And they asked him, who's the most healthy of the group? And he said, not even a contest. Who? Trump. Trump. In fact, he said Trump would live for 200 years if he didn't eat junk food. I don't know if I like that, but that was okay. Great doctor. Now he's a really popular congressman, and he's our friend. And when I had a little ear problem, he was there. He literally came from Texas, and he did a great job, and I appreciate it very much, Ron. Thank you. Because once you're a doctor, you're always a doctor, even if you're a congressman, I guess, right? Don't you think? Somebody who's been really spectacular, especially for the last few months. I don't know what happened to him, but boy, he likes me a lot better now than he used to. Michael Lawler. Am I correct in that? Where's Michael? Right? Something happened. But he likes me better now than he used to, and I like that because he's a good man, great man. Mike Flood. Mike, thank you. Virginia Fox. Virginia. Thank you, Virginia. Michael Waltz, who's doing a great job in defending all of us on television. He's doing a great job on television. And a spectacular woman, a beautiful woman. I'm not allowed to say that anymore because, you know, it usually puts you out of politics, but I've said much worse than that. But she's a beautiful woman, and she really is the most incredible family. And she came to me about endorsing someone in her area who had no chance, and I said, okay, we'll do it, against an incumbent Republican that I didn't like very much and probably didn't like me. So we took a chance, Mary, didn't we? Mary Miller, we took a chance, and our candidate won in a landslide, right? So that was great. We don't like having to do that, but in that case, we had no choice. Ambassador Lana Marks, who was terrific. Thank you, Lana. Good job. You did a great job as ambassador. West Virginia Treasurer Riley Moore. Thank you, Riley. Thank you. Going on to very big things, actually. Jacob Hellberg. Jacob, thank you. Thank you, Jacob. Great job. Somebody who's very talented, knows a lot about a lot at a very young age. Morgan Ortegas. Morgan. Thank you, Darren. And also somebody who defends me so well, Elizabeth Pipko. Elizabeth? Wow, I watched you last night, Elizabeth. You were brutal to this other person. They didn't have a chance last night, Elizabeth. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. We need all the defense we can get. And a friend of mine and a man who's actually a great environmentalist. He really is a great one. And he wrote a book on Donald Trump as a great environmentalist, which is actually true, but a lot of people don't know that. But I'm an environmentalist with common sense.
Hey, what's
I
up,
like
T-Rex?
buildings to have windows. You know, they'd like to close
cool
up
gamer,
all
what's up?
windows. The building should be built 90 stories tall, but that doesn't matter. But can't have any windows. The things they're doing with the Green New scam is just unbelievable. 97 trillion. How can we do that, Ted? I think that's very doable. 97 trillion. Most people don't know what that means. Nobody knows. Nobody's ever heard of a number. To do the Green New scam the way they want it. 97, that's more than China, the United States, and every country in the world for the next 200 years has. But they just go along with it anyway. But he's a great gentleman and a friend of mine, Ed Russo. Where is Ed? I'll tell you, that's great that Ed is here. Wow. Before we begin, I just want to mention some polls that just came out. And I've decided to go back to doing this because they never release the polls when they're good. And they've been really good, and they don't release them. And unless one comes out, they had one that came out the other day where they interviewed 51% Democrat, 22% Republican. Trump's down by 6. I said, how the hell can you win on a poll like that? When you're down by they interview 40% more Democrats, and then they say, if you're down by 6, that means you're actually winning by about 15. But we don't go with that. But we do go with the respected polls. And we go with polls because they don't want to release them because they've all been pretty good.
That's what losers do.
In the very, very, I think, accurate poll over the last 9 or 10 years, I think Rasmussen's been really one of the best. And it was just released a little while ago. I'm leading by 8 points against a woman that you cannot allow to happen. I mean, honestly, you are generally Jewish people. We have a lot of good Christians there that love Israel, by the way. In many ways, they love Israel more than Jewish people love Israel, which is shocking, but nevertheless, we'll take it, right? We have a lot of great Christians that love Israel, but we're up by 8 with Rasmussen. We're at 52 to 44, so that's a big one. And we're up by 11 with independents in Rasmussen also. Just came out. That's a lot because, as you know, Rick Scott, we were talking about it a little while, and independents are very important. And when you're up by that number, that's a pretty good thing. Then the Emerson poll, highly respected. We're up in Arizona. We're up in Wisconsin. And we're up substantially in Pennsylvania. And those are the 3 that they did. And in the New York Times poll even, which is shocking because, I wouldn't say they love me. I wouldn't say I love them either. But I'm up by 9 in the Midwest. That's a big one. And the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, we're up by at least 3 in Georgia. And CNN has
go.
us up. I love
Let's
seeing
go.
like a CNN, and then we're up like, so if you're up 5, you're probably up 20 or something. But in CNN, we're up 5. In Arizona, the Daily Express poll has us up 5 in all of the battleground states, which is great. So I say 47 days from now, we're going to defeat Kamala Harris. You have to defeat Kamala Harris. More
Gotta
than
do
any
it.
other people on earth, Israel, I believe, has to defeat her. You know that? And I've never said this before. I'm thinking, Miriam, more than any people on earth, Israel has to defeat her. I really believe that it's a disaster for Israel. And you know why, and you've heard her statements. We're going to take back our country, and we're going to make Israel great again, and we're going to make America great again. We're going to make them both great again, greater than ever before. We've gathered today to talk about the scourge of anti-Semitism tonight. We're 2 weeks away from the 1-year anniversary of the worst attack on the Jewish people since the Holocaust, without question. On October 7th, which would have never happened if I was president, by the way, I have to always preface it by saying it would have never, ever happened. Innocent men, women, children, and babies were tortured, maimed, kidnapped, and killed. It was an amazing sight, especially if you were able to see, and you don't want to necessarily see it, some of the tapes and film that was made of the atrocity. It was a wake-up call for the entire world, and you have to take it that it is a wake-up call. Get smart. Instead, even here in America, Jewish citizens have been forced to endure the worst outbreak of anti-Semitism in many generations. And so many people shockingly even deny the attack took place. This is a new thing. I saw it recently where they're interviewing people. They said, well, we don't know if there was an attack. I don't know. It's just so terrible. And, you know, there were people I read many times during the Holocaust, we had people denying it. They were deniers. They said, we don't believe it ever took place. And it's a terrible thing when they say that. I never thought I would see anything like what is happening right now. I never thought you'd ever see a thing like this ever happen. It's beyond belief. You know, 15 years ago, Israel was the strongest lobby, if you want to use the word lobby, had the strongest representation of people like this. These are great people, Miriam. But the strongest there was, if you said something about a Jewish person or something about Israel that was bad, you were out of politics. Unless your name was Ted Cruz, he could get through. I think Ted could get through, but maybe not. Maybe even Ted. But it's true. You said something about Israel that was bad. It was like, today, you have to fight. We all have to fight for Israel. I am so surprised to see it, but we're going to win the fight, so don't worry about it, okay? We'll win the fight. There are those that say it's very much like a long time ago when you could say anything, but all across our land, you've seen Jewish Americans harassed and attacked and terrorized by anti-Semites and Hamas sympathizers. I can't believe what we've been witnessing over the last year. Actually, I've watched it in great detail. I've watched it, and I've watched it take place. It's hard to believe. Yet, despite presiding over this explosion of anti-Semitism, Kamala Harris has done absolutely nothing. She has not lifted a single finger to protect you or to protect your children or to even protect you with words. I'm here today to tell the Jewish American community that this ugly tide of anti-Semitic, pro-Hamas bigotry and hate will be turned back and crushed starting at noon on January 20th, 2025. Thank you. Thank you. It will be a bright new day for the Jewish community in America. No longer will you have to walk the streets in fear. You're walking the streets in fear. Can you believe it? Young college students are afraid to go to college. It's not something that anybody thought they would ever hear or see. No longer will you be threatened on your college campuses. No longer will you be discriminated against in college admissions. And no longer will your own government import jihadists from places that we don't even want to talk about. And they want Jew haters from overseas, and they let them come in and resettle in your communities right here at home. And nobody's ever seen anything like it. My promise to Jewish Americans is this: with your vote, I will be your defender, your protector, and I will be the best friend Jewish Americans have ever had in the White House. You know that. Thank you. But in all fairness, I already am. I think I already am. I don't have to think. In fact, I already am. I am the best defender you've had as president by far. I think there'd be no question. Miriam mentioned 4 or 5 of the things. Those each individual thing. Oh, her husband would drive me crazy. You have to do this. You have to do that. You don't know what I had to put up with. She was like the calming influence. I said, Sheldon, I can't do that. It's too much. He said, no. And every time I got something, he'd immediately start with something else, right? He'd get something, always fighting for Israel and the Jewish people. But, I had such great respect for him. It's true, though. She had to sometimes tell him, calm down. You just had a big victory. Let's celebrate. No, we have to immediately start. Let's see if we can do Golan Heights. How about Golan Heights? They've been trying to get it for 72 years. I got it done in about 15 minutes.
Hi, Mimsy.
Okay, so.
Heath, what's up, my man? How you doing? Good to see you.
Even Sheldon couldn't believe that one, I'll tell you. Even Sheldon couldn't believe that one. He said, we just got Golan Heights. They didn't even ask for it. I actually gave you that one. You didn't ask for it, but I thought it was important. Ground zero for the outbreak of the anti-Jewish hate under Kamala Harris has been our college campuses. At UCLA a few months ago, Marxist thugs dressed up like terrorists and created, quote, Jew exclusion zones, blocking Jewish students from entering parts of the campus. Can you imagine that?
That's
a week after the October 7th attack on Israel, anti-Semites at Miami University in Ohio sent Jewish students and staff an email that said, quote, the best Jew is a dead Jew, end of quote. This is stuff that's not even thinkable. And the colleges do nothing about it, too. Most of them. At Baruch College, a mob of Hamas supporters targeted a group of innocent Jewish freshmen at a welcoming dinner, shouted slurs and mocked them for the death of Jewish hostages in Israel. At Princeton University, radical activists displayed the Hezbollah flag very proudly. At Columbia, you watched that along with everybody else. It was terrible. They took control of the school buildings, these magnificent buildings. They beat the hell out of them, by the way. And the campus became so dangerous for Jewish students at the university, rabbi told them, please go home, go home. A Yale professor called October 7th an extraordinary day. It was a great day, he said. A Cornell professor said that these heinous attacks were, quote, exhilarating and energizing to everyone. Kamala Harris said that the radical demonstrators on college campuses were, quote, human emotion should be this way. This is her message. This is somebody that's among 2 people. So we started off with 350 million. Of course, we really don't know how many people we have in the country anymore. They're coming in so fast at the border. Many criminals, many from jails, prisons, many from mental institutions, from insane asylums, terrorists. They're pouring in at levels we've never seen before. And she was the border czar. She now says she wasn't, but she was still in charge of the border. She's the one that did it. And I will tell you, the message that she gave is wrong. It's dangerous and it's unbefitting a candidate for the president of the United States. So think of it. Let's assume 350 million. We're down to 2. I told our great First Lady the other day, well, we're down to 2, and now we're leading in the polls by, I think, a lot. I'm calling on Kamala Harris to officially disavow the support of all Hamas sympathizers, anti-Semites, Israel haters. on college campuses and everywhere else. So I'm calling on her to do that, just disavow, but she won't do it. You know that. She's not going to do it. She's going to talk. She's going to talk about nothing, talk about the weather. And sadly, and I have to say this, and it hurts me to say it, you're going to still vote for Democrats, and it doesn't make sense. I say all the time that any Jewish person that votes for her, especially now, her or the Democrat Party, should have their head examined. It's true. And, you know, I just find it so hard to believe. And part of it is habit, I guess. And respectfully, with all that I've done, I'll maybe go over it quickly, but Miriam did it better than I could, all the different things with Golan, with all of the things that we did. And really, the one thing we didn't mention is I terminated the Iran nuclear deal. And that is, I think, the biggest of them all. But okay. The problem is we could have had a deal, any deal we wanted. Michael knows that better than anybody. But Biden and Harris, and nobody knows it. You know, when you say Harris, people say, who's Harris? You have to say Kamala, because nobody knows who the hell Harris is. That's her last name. But nobody knows it. Isn't it weird? How's Harris doing? Who the hell is Harris? How's Kamala doing? Oh, isn't it as weird? I never saw anything like it. So we'll just call it Kamala. But you really, you know, when you think about it, it's amazing that you're such nice people, because a lot of people wouldn't allow that to happen. We're joined today by several dozen Jewish American students from colleges across America. Thank you all for being here. And here's what I will do to defeat anti-Semitism and defend our Jewish citizens in America. My first week back in the Oval Office, my administration will inform every college president that if you do not end anti-Semitic propaganda, they will lose their accreditation and federal taxpayer support.
Me too, Keith. Me too.
Thank you. Truth is, you don't have to do much after that. When you do that, it's going to work miracles. Please sit down. We will not subsidize the creation of terrorist sympathizers, and we're not going to do it certainly on American soil. We're not going to do it anywhere. Next, I will inform every educational institution in our land that if they permit violence, harassment, or threats against Jewish students, the schools will be held accountable for violations of the civil rights law. Very important. Jewish Americans must have equal protection under the law. They're going to get
Okay, hang on. I stopped it. I saw we were getting some interference, so it should be coming back, hopefully. Let me make sure that it is.
flag while police officers and spray painting, they were spray painting
We're
at
back.
police offices and at the beautiful monuments
for hanging.
surrounding the area and the flag, lions, people. And it was a, you know, being in the construction business, this is a stone, it's limestone, that when you spray paint limestone, you'll see it in 100 years. They can take it off, but they can't really take it off. You'll see everything that they said in 100 years. It's a very porous stone. And what they've done is unbelievable. But I don't see them getting long sentences in
Is this
prison
speed okay?
like
I
happened to
sped up
other
a little
people.
bit
I
'cause
don't
we
see
are a
them
little
even
behind.
being approached or attacked in any way. They allow them to
Anybody has
do
a
it.
problem with the speed, let me know.
Watch those limestones. I looked at them the other day, and that stone just sucks up that paint. It goes deep. You're going to see it in 100 years from now. Kamala Harris, let them go. She said, let them go. I will end this political violence and harassment once and for all. You know, when I was president, we had a moment where Washington was, in a sense, being attacked. They were trying to pull down statues, and I pulled out about an 1897 statute, very important. And it said that anybody touching, ripping down, or even trying to rip down a monument or a statue in the Capitol or anywhere else in the land up to the president will get 10 years in jail. No probation, no nothing. It's 10 years. It's not 10 years, but you serve 3 days. It's 10 years and you serve all 10 years. You couldn't get a thing like that passed today, I don't think. What do you think, Ted? Not too easily. If you got 2 days, it would be a miracle. No, it's 10 years. It was so old. I lifted up this. It was old and dusty, but it read beautifully. And I invoked it and I had a speech. I said, here's the story. Anybody touching a statue, and it ended when they had Abraham Lincoln ready to be pulled over. You remember that? They said, Abraham Lincoln, now we're hitting Lincoln. And I read it and I told people that anybody from this moment on that pulls down anything or even tries to pull down a statue, you go into jail for 10 years. It was an amazing sight, Miriam. Everybody just dropped the ropes. The ropes were left. They dropped the ropes and they started walking out of town. I was watching thousands of asses from the back. It was a beautiful sight. It was a beautiful sight. It was a beautiful sight. They just started walking in a different direction. And that was the last of the problem we had. Remember the big problems we were having? They actually wanted to rip down Thomas Jefferson Memorial. They didn't like Jefferson. They didn't like Washington. They didn't like Lincoln. They didn't like anybody. I will oppose, and I will make sure that you're protected. I will oppose all of the horrible things that they're thinking of doing. And they are thinking of doing bad things. It's not believable. I will also secure our borders from dangerous anti-American and anti-Semitic hate. Not only has Kamala thrown open our southern border, and again, she was in charge of your border. Now she's trying to say, well, I wasn't really the border czar. I never heard her disavow border czar before. But open to terrorists and criminals, she's supported unlimited migration from terrorist hotbeds into the United States, especially some of the hotbeds that most hate Israel. Under border czar Harris, armies of foreign Hamas sympathizers now march brazenly through our cities. They're literally marching in our cities, and they came from some very vicious, violent parts of the world, and they do not like Jewish people, and they do not like Israel, and they've let that be known, and we are not going to tolerate it. I will not let what happened to Paris, what happened to London, and what's happening to them too, by the way. That's not over. What happened to Brussels happened here in America. It's not going to happen. We will deport the foreign jihad sympathizers and Hamas supporters from our midst. We will get them out of our country. I will ban refugee resettlement from terror-infested areas like the Gaza Strip, and we will seal our border and bring back the travel ban. Remember the famous travel ban? We didn't take people from certain areas of the world because I didn't want to have people ripping down and burning our shopping centers and killing people. But we're not taking them from infested countries. We will quickly rebuild the greatest economy in the history of the world for Jewish Americans and for all Americans. It will happen very quickly. We will defeat inflation, cut energy costs in half, and we will have something that some people in this room would be interested in. Frankly, some won't, but I'll say it anyway because you got those television cameras blaring. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security benefits for our seniors. That's a good one for this room. This room likes that last one. And to help Americans who are buried in crushing credit card debt under the Kamala Harris economy, we will have a temporary 10% cap on credit card interest rates because they're paying 20 and 25% and they're getting decimated. So it'll be a temporary 10% cap. But look, this is the most important election in the history of the United States, and it's also the most important election in the history of Israel. The United States election is the most important election in the history of Israel, actually, if you think about it. How crazy does that sound? But it's true. With all I have done for Israel, I received only 24% of the Jewish vote. Now think of this. I really haven't been treated very well, but that's the story of my life. It's true. Think of it. But I understood that because I wasn't really tested. I wasn't a politician, and I won, but I understood that. And then I became president and was the best president ever for the people of Israel and for Jewish people, the best president ever. And I did more for them than any president has, and probably any president can do or will do, other than the current situation that's coming up, because I have a feeling that maybe that's going to be more than anything that was even done in the past, if you want to know the truth, because I think Israel's in big trouble. But I gave them, as Mir said, Golan Heights. I gave them the Abraham Accords, which is amazing. Nobody thought that was possible. 4 strong, powerful countries signed. Think of it. I would have had every country signed. I might have even had Iran signed, okay? As crazy as that sounds. You're kidding. You know that, Michael. I might have even had that. But we had peace in the Middle East. When I left, we had peace in the Middle East, but I had the Abraham Accords. And it was something that if Obama had done it, that would have been any prize, you named the prize, but they would have had every single prize ever devised by man. I did it. Nobody said a thing. And that's okay. I do the right thing. And I was helped a lot by Jared and a lot of other people that really understood what was going on. But I recognized the capital of Israel and opened the embassy in Jerusalem and got it built. Not just had it there. You know, the generals came in one of my days in office. They said, "Sir, could you sign this? What is it?" It said, "Order for $2 billion to be spent on a embassy that would have cost much more." I said, "Where's the land?" "We don't have it yet, sir, but we have a couple of terrible sites under negotiation. I'm good at real estate." These were bad locations in Jerusalem. I said, "Do we have anything? Let us look, sir." And they do. They had a site that was better than anything we had, a much better location, and we have it for nothing. So far, I'm doing a good job. Then I said, "Is there a building on it?" "Yes, there is, but it's not in use." I said, "Is it structurally sound?" "Oh, yes, very strong, very structurally sound." "Is it setback?" Because you want setbacks for embassies for things called bombs. "Yes, it's setback and it's on high. It's one of the best locations." They said, "So we have it." So I dealt with David Friedman. I said, "David, how much would it cost to renovate the building? Give me a good price." And he came back, said $400,000. I said, "David, that's too low." This is the only time I've ever said this. Usually I say, "It's too high, cut them in half." This time I said, "That's crazy. From $2 billion, think of it, to $400,000. And I said, "That's too low. We got to spend more." And we ended up spending a little bit more than that, very little. And a friend of mine has, a couple of you have heard this, Jerusalem stone in his office building. And every time I walk by the elevator bank, he says, "Look at this stone. It's Jerusalem stone, so expensive." And I said to him, a very successful guy, very rich guy, and he was complaining about the price. "It's Jerusalem." But every time, after 20 times, I said, "Don't tell me it's Jerusalem stone again." Right on the elevator bank, beautiful stone, Jerusalem stone. So I'm there and I say, "Listen, by any chance," talking to one of the contractors, I said, "You think you could use Jerusalem stone? Is it expensive?" "No, it's cheap as hell. We're in Jerusalem." And we built the whole building out of Jerusalem stone. And we did it very inexpensively, got it opened in about 4 or 5 months. You would still be talking about your $2 billion building, Ted. That building would be under talk for about 5 more years, and then they'd spend $5 billion and it would look like hell. This building is better. You'll never do better. Someday they'll rip it down and do some monster. But I was very proud we got it built. And most importantly of all, in my opinion, because I asked, what's the best? Golan Heights, is it? Is it Jerusalem, the capital, moving the embassy and all of that? What is the best? What's the best? Is it the Abraham Accords? And some friends of mine that are very smart, no, not even close. The best thing you ever did for Israel is you terminated the Iran nuclear deal, which was the worst deal ever made for Israel or for any country. That was the best. That's true. That was more important. Remember, that was more important than any of the other things, of the many other things that we did. The problem is that Harris, Kamala, and Biden did absolutely nothing with it. You could have made after the election, which we had a very bad thing happen with that election. Think of it. If that election were proper, you wouldn't have had Russia attacking Ukraine. You wouldn't have had October 7th. Would have never happened because, as you know, Iran had no money at that time. None, zero, nothing. They had no money to fund. There were stories about it, that there was no money for terror. You wouldn't have had inflation. You wouldn't have had that horrible leaving of Afghanistan in such a way, not the leaving because we were ready to leave. We were left before them, but we were leaving with strength and dignity. That was the worst. I think it was the lowest day, the most embarrassing day in the history of our country. Because of that, probably that's why Putin won it. He would have never gone in with me, though. But all of these things, and on top of everything else, I gave them more than $20 billion, Israel. And I said, when I did it, I said, I'm the best friend they ever had. And still, in 2020, so remember, I got 25%. Now I did all of these things, and I got 29%. Think of it. So I wasn't treated right. But it's not me that's been treated badly. It's Israel, because you can make a big difference in the vote. You're going to be a big factor in the vote. I will say places like Miami and different places were great. But honestly, I went from 25 to 29. And based on what I did and based on my love of the same love that you have, I should be at 100. I should be at 100. But let me give you the bad news. A poll, I just told you how good the polls are, but we need every vote we can get. The current polling has me with Jewish citizens, Jewish people that's supposed to love Israel. After having done all of that, having been the best president, the greatest president by far, a poll just came out. I'm at 40%. that means you got 60% voting for somebody that hates Israel. And I say it's going to happen. It's only because of the Democrat hold or curse on you. You can't let this happen. 40% is not acceptable because we have an election to win. So after all of this, I went from 29 to 40%. And people that are smart said to me, friend of mine, Jewish, friend of mine loves Israel, loves everything about your religion and about your country, your place. He said, I can't believe it's happening. It's sad. And he started to cry, actually. He started to cry with all of this. And he's a tough cookie. I don't think he cried since he was a little tiny baby. Maybe then I don't think he cried. I don't think he cried then, Miriam. But I will put it to you very simply and gently. I really haven't been treated right, but you haven't been treated right because you're putting yourself in great danger. And the United States hasn't been treated right. So if I don't win this election, and I've been very good, they say Trump's been right about everything. I've been right about a lot of things. Even Ted will admit that. I've been right about a lot of things that a lot of people said, no, that won't happen, but a lot of bad things happened and some good things I've been right about too. And I only want to be, so I'm not going to call this as a prediction, but in my opinion, the Jewish people would have a lot to do with the loss if I'm at 40%. If I'm at 40%, think of it, that means 60% are voting for Kamala, who in particular is a bad Democrat. The Democrats are bad to Israel, very bad. They'll never change because they have a section of their party now which has become amazingly and quickly very powerful, vote-wise. I mean, Chuck Schumer is a Palestinian. Who would have thought that was going to happen? What the hell happened to him? I saw him the other day. He was dressed in one of their robes. No, that'll be next. No, Chuck Schumer is Hamas all the way. I don't know what the hell happened to him. If you support him, you're crazy. I have never seen his change may be bigger than Kamala on fracking in Pennsylvania. Okay. But if we don't win this election, Israel, in my opinion, within a period of 2 to 3 years will cease to exist. It's going to be wiped out. That's what's going to happen. It's a tough thing to say, but what difference does it make from my standpoint? I have to tell you the truth, and maybe you'll be energized because there's no way that I should be getting 40% of the vote. I'm the one that's protecting you. These are the people that are going to destroy you, and you have 60% of the Jewish people essentially voting for them. If I do win, Israel will be safe and secure, and we will stop the toxic poison of anti-Semitism from spreading all over America and all over the world. We'll get it stopped. But if I don't win, I believe Israel will be eradicated. And you can't let that happen. And I don't think you will let that happen. So you have to, Rabbi, you have to get everybody together and you have to get them to vote because it's craziness to say I'm at 40%. And when I heard that number today, it just came out today. When I heard that number today, I think it was insulting to our country. It was insulting to Israel. It's very interesting. They did a poll in Israel. I'm like at 99% favorable. Right now, I could run for any office in Israel. In Israel, they love me. Here, not so much, but they do love me in Israel. Miriam, I'm at 99%. Everybody loves me. I could run for prime minister. Would you like me as your prime minister? But I have to learn your language. That's a tough language to learn. I have to learn it in about 3 months. I have to learn it very quickly. But no, I'm most popular person in Israel. But here it doesn't translate. It's a strange thing. So we have to save Israel. Look, you're here for a reason. We have to save Israel. This is no longer games. This is no longer games. This is the saving of Israel. And I'm going to mention it. We're making a big statement in a little while at another conference, also very important. And I'm going to mention it again and again. I believe that Israel will be wiped off the face of the earth if I don't win. And that's a big statement. That's a horrible statement to make. And it's just the way I feel. And a lot of people in this room agree with me. Because look at what's happened in the last 2 years. I have never seen anything like it where something has gone so down so fast, where even Jewish people are protesting in these groups. They're Jewish people. People wearing yarmulkes are in these groups that are protesting with 100,000 people. So they have to change their way because with your vote, you can reject anti-Semitism in our schools, in our communities, in our foreign policy, and in our immigration system. But all of that starts by rejecting Kamala Harris at the ballot box. She is anti-Israel and she is anti-Jewish, and you got to get smart to it. And with that, I have great love and great respect for so many of the people in the room. I have so many friends in this room. I fought so hard for you, but it's time that you fight the real fight. And the real fight is to save Israel. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
All right. There you have it. You caught back up right at the end there. Look at that, right at the end. Perfect. Hey, Matthew, what's up, man? How you doing? Good to see you.
Thank you,
Just
everybody.
wrapping this up. All right, that should be it. Well, things are meant to be work out, right? And there he goes, off to his next adventure. All right, we're going to go ahead and stop that there. Thank you guys so much for being here for that. We're going to go into our election 2024 coverage. I got a bunch of stuff for you tonight. Of course, we cover all of the issues that have to do with the election and politics today. The fight against the corrupt establishment. That's what we talk about here during this time of the show. This is the plus version. So, let's see. Let me get that screen right there. I got lots of stuff on the invasion issue, the border invasion issue, some of the stuff that's going on at the rallies. I got stuff on that. I got stuff on the polls. We heard a little bit about that earlier. But let's start out with let's see. Oh yeah, I got some stuff about the COVID czar getting caught. I don't understand how this guy has sex parties, but evidently he was. I can't imagine the people that were at that. But yeah, there's some stuff about that. I got some JD Vance stuff. I got some stuff about just some good news. People talking about voting. I got some really I got some stuff that maybe people haven't heard about from Springfield, Ohio. What's going on there? Like I said earlier, we were going to cover the Vivek town hall, but it was just really bad reception there. It was spotty. It wasn't good to cover. It would have been very kind of frustrating to cover it. And so you can go watch that on his page if you want to. The first part of it's really choppy. The questions were okay. People tried to go off of the topic very quickly. A couple questionable people got to speak. So, do with it what you will. But it's so good to see everybody. So good to see some cool people popping in I haven't seen in a bit, like Keith and Matthew, and always great to see Cool Gamer and Mimsy and T-Rex Trucking and more. And also, of course, the normal crew with Wolfram and Murph and Shelly and all these guys. Of course, T-Rex part of the normal crew too. So is Mimsy, but also great. I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you for being here this evening. All right, let's get into it. What am I going to start with? Oh yeah, let me see. We switch this to manual. We're going to be looking at what's going on in New York City as well. Did you know they're actually paying the asylum seekers to leave the city? They're giving them more and more tax money. Now, let's start with this. Let me pull it up. Let's talk about these. This bad news that Kamala got this week. Just came out. Let's talk about that with our good friend Mark Dice. All right, bring him on up. Bring him on in. Let's go.
On Monday, Kamala Harris sat down with leadership of the Teamsters Union, one of the biggest labor unions in the country, with well over 1 million members, hoping to get their endorsement since, well, they have officially endorsed every Democrat presidential candidate for the last 30 years. But things got awkward when they didn't endorse her. And then things got even more awkward yesterday when this news broke.
We have breaking news. The Teamsters Union will not endorse either candidate in this year's presidential race.
So you know what that means.
Unions.
Yeah, I do actually. I do. In fact, I have some inside information about how that went down. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but what Teamster means is it's like a driver, like truck driver or union member. We got one of those in the crowd right here, right there. That's T-Rex Trucking and more. I guess technically you're a Teamster, right? Well, we have exclusive footage of how these guys were persuaded to change their mind. Take a look at this.
Affliction and hardship awaits those who resist. First of all, I don't pay property tax.
That's right. T-Rex Trucking got in there and changed those Teamsters' minds. All right, and there he is right there. Always on the move. You can that guy, you gotta look out for him. He's always on the move. He says he's just taking baby steps. He's really he's just he's starting to take those man steps now too. But he's still not paying property tax, which is his thing.
A critical part, of course, of President Biden's winning coalition 4 years ago. But this year, the Teamsters president spoke at the Republican National Convention, putting support in doubt.
And I can't imagine how much it pained the editors over at CNN to actually type up and publish this accurate headline: Teamsters won't endorse in presidential race, after releasing internal polling showing most members support Trump. This is absolutely devastating for the Democrats and
Yep,
liberal
there he
media,
is.
but they're putting on a happy face,
The
trying
man
to
who put the
pretend that
pressure
it's
on.
really no big deal.
Do you think the Teamsters non-endorsement matters? It's, I think, 56.9%, 59.6% of the union supported a Trump endorsement compared to 34% supporting a Harris endorsement. Does that worry you?
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think that we have to recognize as a starting place is that.
Oh, we'll see. All right. Just like CBS News found out when they finally got out of their bubble and actually hit the streets, went and talked to some average Americans.
What issue is most important to you?
I'm extremely concerned about the border. Illegals, they gotta go.
People are coming here seeking asylum.
Hello, they're coming here for the freebies.
Their little outing gave them quite the reality check. Yes. The reporter later admitted when she was back in her ivory tower in New York.
What was really incredible is in every single restaurant, the people willing to talk to us, we could only find one Harris supporter in every restaurant, and we left no stone unturned. I approached every single person.
What a shame. Here's Karine Jean-Pierre, old Joe's, I guess Kamala Harris's, or whoever is the pretend president these days, official spokesperson over at the White House, trying to spin the terribly bad news that the Teamsters didn't endorse a Democrat for the first time in 30 years.
The union also put out its internal polling that showed that there was a pretty wide margin of rank and
We're
file
waking
membership
up.
that supported
That's a great
former
thing.
President Donald Trump. To what extent is that a referendum on the work of this administration?
Look, I'm not going to speak to their poll. I'm not going to speak to the.
Listen, you're not
going to speak to anything that, you know, that's truthful or that makes us look bad.
supposed to ask me these kinds of embarrassing questions, because the Democrat Party obviously is no longer the party for the working class.
No.
It's the party of illegal aliens, of non-citizens, and those who are too lazy to even get a job. And so they're living off of our tax dollars.
And of course, the elitist.
Are you gonna vote? Will you ask people that you know to vote, please? And will you ask them to vote for me? Thank you.
Wakanda forever. Paid for by Kamala Harris.
Look, it is. We're talking about a 2024, obviously.
That's right.
And
We're talking about over 1 million people in one of the biggest labor unions in the country.
an election that is just a few weeks away. I can't speak to that. I can't speak to their decision to endorse, not endorse.
But Kamala Harris is so amazing and so successful, so brilliant, so extraordinary that she has a hard time being understood by us little people.
You know, I was the first person to be a woman Attorney General of California. I was the first woman to be elected District Attorney of San Francisco. I was the first person of color to be elected Attorney General of California. Whatever, first. Welcome to the Role Model Club. It's tough. Being a part of the Role Model Club means being in a room where sometimes you may be the only person who has had the experiences you've had.
You mean the only DEI hire? You mean a person who isn't qualified in any way, shape, or form for the job that they have? And you know it. Tell us about the good old days, NBC.
So this is before, like right when the pandemic was striking. I mean, look, you had home loans at 3.5%, I mean, right? Car loans, 5.2%, credit card interest rates, which are always terrible. Look at where they are today. So the idea of the Fed cutting interest rates would be these numbers would start to come down. You can see mortgage rates have already been falling in anticipation of the Fed cutting rates. They'll likely continue to fall. A lot of really smart people I know say you're going to have a 5 number there sometime, maybe early next year, even late this year. So for those people who are looking to buy a home, if you can find one in this tight housing market, or trying to refinance more likely, if you've recently bought, that's going to be the first place you're going to see the effects of lower interest rates. So
Yeah, and then the housing prices themselves are going to skyrocket because everybody who can afford one is going to try to buy one. And so the lower interest rates are going to do nothing regarding the overall costs. And while Donald Trump has little to no control over the Federal Reserve, which is an independent banking cartel, his policies could certainly offer some economic ease in other sectors. And he held a rally in New York yesterday, and this was the local welcoming committee. Get a load of that. In Blue, New York. This is a view from inside the rally. Another absolutely jam-packed event where he cracks some hilarious jokes like this one, which, by the way, usually have my show completely family-friendly, but just a heads up, he does use a very minor curse word coming up here in a second.
We can do all of this and more, but patriotic New Yorkers must get your asses out to vote. Get it out. Harry, get up, Harry. Harry, get your fat ass out of the couch. You're going to vote for Trump today, Harry. Get up, Harry. Come on, let's go.
He also reiterated his top priority, which reflects the top concern of Americans.
Starting on day one, I will seal the border and stop the migrant invasion, an invasion like no country has ever seen before. We will stop it immediately. We will carry out the largest deportation operation of criminals in American history. We're getting them out of our country.
And while that would make a good soundbite for a quick campaign, and Kamala Harris gave us an even better one.
Now they have pledged to carry out the largest deportation, a mass deportation in American history.
Yes.
Imagine what that would look like and what that would be.
Yes.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message.
And I'm Mark Dyke. Subscribe to my YouTube channel for new here. And in case you haven't seen it, I did launch a
There
new
we go.
Donald Trump as Neo in the Matrix shirt. You can order
Nice.
from my online store, markdice.com.
All right,
Click the
Mark,
link in the
thank you
description
so
below,
much, man.
and check it.
So there's a bunch of stuff right there to kick us off. Let's see. Good stuff all the way through, and good news as well. So let's move that up. Let's see. Where do we go next here? Let's go next. Talking about Kamala Harris's campaigns. Oh yeah, let's talk about this electoral map here with Gary Franchi. The next news. Bringing in base content creators. That's what I try to do. I weed out the ones who jump the shark, and I try to just stick to what's important about this election. Right now, we are in we are in the final leg of the race. We need to focus on the issues, and we need to focus on winning. Period. We don't have time for speculations and theories and things like that. Really, it's just getting tiring to see so many big creators with so much big reach making a big deal out of things they can't prove, and it just needs to stop. So I'm just gonna kind of like put those to the side a little bit for now. We'll worry about that later. We need to reform how we communicate with each other. That's a given. We've needed that for a long time. So we'll fix that on the back end. But right now we got to focus on just getting through these next several weeks and getting through the election and winning. So let's do that. Also, I said earlier I was going to talk about the fringe groups, right? We got these fringe groups that are out there. They get kind of mushed in with the non-fringe groups. And what I figured out is this: is like people look at things in terms of left and right. Okay. Well, in our great republic here, right? Capitalism, republic, free market capitalism, constitutional republic, right? We have this terminology of left and right, and usually tends to lead towards how much government are you willing to tolerate, how much government should be involved in things and over top of states and what they do. And I believe in constitutional government. I come from the Ron Paul school of, limited constitutional government. We need some, but we need to go by what the Constitution says, because that's the contract that we have. All right. So, and so that's where I come from. But you know what I've figured out is like, there's another paradigm that's out there that gets mixed in with our own. And that is the Marxist paradigm. Right. There's a Marxist paradigm. And I just figured this out. This is what's been so confusing, I think, for a lot of folks and a lot of people that don't understand a lot about paradigms and how they work in this world and what kind of paradigm we were born into, and that there was a false left-right paradigm in our own political paradigm for most of our lives until 2016, actually. In the illusion of choice, Donald Trump shattered that when he took the GOP back. And we still are working on making sure that we secure that and that it never falls back to a false left-right paradigm, because that's where the establishment really thrived. That's when they were able to get most of their dirty work done. A lot of the base people that have been really educated on the matters know this already, but a lot of people that are new to it or haven't had the time to do the extra work to understand this or haven't heard it before don't. But I figured out what they kind of rope in these, they call them the alt-right, okay? And they try to rope in these neo-Nazi types with MAGA and with other people that are on the Republican side of things. They try to rope them in with this, right? And then at the same time, we're roping in these very, very fringe Marxists, these queer Marxists, these socialist groups, Socialist 2024. You can go watch their conferences and stuff. These people don't care about political parties over there, but we rope them in because they're on the left. So we say they're a part of the left, right? And I figured out what it is. It's like, and it's something we shouldn't really have in this country. But the real battle in the Marxist paradigm throughout history, and I've been listening to a lot of history lately, especially World War II history and before, is the Marxist paradigm of Nazism on the right and communism on the left. You know, it's all a Marxist paradigm. So this fringe, I was going to draw a little chart, man, but this fringy little group, this Marxist infiltration in our society, has its own paradigm that kind of runs parallel to ours, and they tend to blend them in with us because people just don't understand that there's these two different ideologies that are going on, and that the Marxists have been trying to ideologically subvert our country for decades now. Right. So they just see them as, okay, this is part of the politics. But you know what the truth is that those neo-Nazi far right, fringe right people aren't voting for Trump. They're not part of MAGA. Right. And these free Palestine, queer Marxists that are far left aren't voting for Kamala Harris. They're not part of that Democratic Party, but we tend to mix them all together. And it's really funny how that happens. So that's just something I wanted to say about that without, pulling anything up or talking about it. That is that's that. Think about that. Just some food for thought. That's how I think it works out, and I think that's why you see these fringe groups out there representing their Marxist ideals, because Nazism and communism are all under the Marxist umbrella. They're all under the Marxist umbrella. I mean, you had the National Socialists of Germany. That's the Nazi Party, and then they have the the Soviet Socialists, and that's that was the USSR, right? The United. So you have that's communism, right? So and Nazis and communists have been fighting each other for decades as well. Both responsible for the world wars that have happened. So and they were involved in those world wars. If you learn World War I and World War II history, you'll see a lot of that mixed in there, and a lot of that has to do with that. Very interesting stuff. And it's a good time to learn it if you haven't gone over it, because it kind of history teaches us about what's going on today as well. But that's funny. So many of us we go so fast in America. We go so quick. People think they don't have time for things. We have more time than we ever realize. Is just that we want to get back to what's entertaining us and what's fun, and that's the free spirit of America. But if you go over in other places in the world, they sit down and have real conversations, and people are allowed to talk and to get all their thoughts out before the other people talk in the room. And that's a really traditional way of having a conversation with people. You can give them backgrounds, right? You can go on for a while. Now here, if you do that here, because of the small attention spans that people have, they'll call you long-winded. They'll call you names. So they'll want to interrupt you. They'll try to make jokes. Like they can't hang on to the thoughts that long. But if you go over in other parts of the world, and some of the old schoolers over there, they'll sit down and then you ask a question. And they want to give you the best answer possible. They'll give you the background. They'll give you examples. They'll give you everything in a big statement. And that's respect, that's them respecting your question. And then you respect them by listening intently and absorbing the information and saving, anything less than clarifications for, after they've done speaking. It's considered rude to interrupt over there. That's something you learn when you go overseas, and something we have to kind of get back to a little bit better over here. Our fast-paced way of thinking and living tends to make us not get the full wisdom of others. I hear the full wisdom of others so much. So I'm glad you guys appreciate the long streams and come by to listen to me ramble on. I could say, even I apologizing for rambling on. Really, I'm just trying to have a conversation and give you everything that I've learned and how I learned it, and give you as many details as possible so that you understand it's credible and that you can consider what I'm having to say when I'm bringing to you. But anyways, that's the part of it I came up with the other day. I was thinking about. I was like, there is this other like Marxist paradigm that tends to get blended in with ours. So stay based and think about that, and keep an open mind and all that stuff. We needed at least two more parties for the left and far right, woke parties, whatever. Yeah, they'll end up just coming under one umbrella again. And like I said, go look at Europe. They have all these parties, right? All these parties, all these groups, and then they just group into two parties. And it's like, okay, well, there you go. It really just goes back to left and right again. It's always going to be that way. We live in a third dimension reality. And duality is part of the third dimension. So everything has an opposite. Everything has another side to it. Two sides to a coin. All that stuff. That's just the way it works in our third dimension here. And inevitably things go back to a dual nature, right? You can have a million different ideas, right? and they'll probably fall into either a good idea or an evil idea. Right. So, they'll either be creative or destructive. They'll either be, it's like if you think about it, you can whittle almost everything down to a dual perspective. That's just the way it works. All right, let's listen to Gary talk about breaking news: electoral map turned red. Harris campaign in panic mode as Trump leads. Well, aren't they always? Let's see what he has to say.
Numbers that are sending shockwaves through both political parties. The 2024 election landscape is shifting beneath our feet, and what we're seeing is nothing short of seismic. Trump surging, Harris stumbling, and wild cards that could change everything. But here's the kicker: the mainstream media is twisting these numbers to fit their narrative. And we're going to give you the raw and filtered truth. So buckle up, folks. This is a game changer. Now let's talk about turning back the clock on aging. Countless Americans, even this biased mainstream media poll, are showing a dead heat, and Trump outperforms the polls significantly. Listen.
Since the Electoral College, Berman, from my undisclosed location, you'll never guess where I am. So take a look here. National polls in the last month, including leads within the margin of error. Look, Kamala Harris leads in pretty much every single national poll. She's led in 9 of the polls that have been.
Yeah, when this is coming off of CNN, how credible is that? Look, we're just brainwashing you here. Just go by what we're saying. She leads in all the polls. I hope that I love it when they do it, because I hope that it backfires on them. I hope that, just go to the party. You don't need to go vote. Just go get high. You don't have to worry about it, man. She's going to win. She's leading all the polls. You got to stay home. We got it. Okay. Just do that.
Been released over the last month. Trump has just led in 1 national poll over the last month, and we've had 1 tie. So the fact that a national poll shows Kamala Harris ahead, not really much of a surprise, because, John, pretty much all of them do.
And the thing is, Harry, thanks to the founding fathers, this isn't a national election exactly, is it? Oh, now you're suddenly behind me. You keep on moving. There's Harry, still in an undisclosed location, but at least virtually behind me, making me very nervous. All right, Harry, talk to us about what the states look like, the battleground states.
Yeah, so look, this is about the Electoral College, right? So let's take a look at the average margin. Nationally, Harris is ahead in the average poll by 2.5 points. But look at those 7 key battleground states: Arizona,
Anybody
Georgia,
have
Nevada, North
thoughts on
Carolina,
polls
Pennsylvania,
here?
Wisconsin. Harris is only ahead by 0.3 points, John. So the bottom line is, in those 7 key battleground states, it's a significantly tighter race than it is nationally, John.
So Al Gore and Hillary Clinton are calling right now, Harry, asking what the chances are that Harris could win the popular vote but lose in the Electoral College.
Okay, so basically,
I'd never trust that popular vote bullshit. I always think that's just them trying to rig it, right? I think that's where the rigging comes out. And I just never trust that popular vote bullshit, man. It's like, and it seems to be hard to believe. And this may be the fact that, in the past, it was more relevant because you'd have the chosen winners, right? By the establishment, the false left right paradigm, establishment left, establishment right. You guys go for 8, we'll go for 8. You guys go for 4, we'll go for 4. It was like always just handing back and forth. There was never any real decision. Kind of like the Democrat primaries are now, right? I think they've always been that way, but it's real apparent now when you have somebody like Bernie Sanders who clearly won both primaries on this popularity, right? But then they use their delegates, their super delegates, to put the person in they want. And so as the paradigm starts to disintegrate, a false left right paradigm disintegrates, these things are starting to happen, which are very different from what we are used to growing up. So they were like, well, you won the, it's just the heel. It's like WWE at that point, where it's like the face and the heel, like, oh, you guys, we won the popular vote, so we should be able to do direct democracy now and not have electoral colleges. They love that. They would love that. So they use that excuse, right? And they get people riled up, and then they go right back to doing what they're doing. They're like, okay, yeah, get riled up, have some divisive issues to fight about, right? You guys can fight about this for 4 years, right? And then you can fight about it again. And that's how they would just keep us divided on these things like that. Just throw little thorns out there to prick our skins, things just to get people mad about the outcomes of things when they knew exactly what the outcome was going to be the entire time.
At 2.5 point lead nationally here, right? Okay, Harris's chances, if she wins the popular vote by 2 to 3 points, the chance she wins the Electoral College is only 53%. The bottom line is, once you have to get all the way north to about 3 to 4 points for Harris to have a clear chance, the clear majority chance of winning the Electoral College. If she only wins by less than 2, look at that. Only a 23% chance of winning. Right now, Harris is right now in that danger zone where basically about half the time, given that popular vote margin nationally, she would win. And
so there you have CNN, but
a lot of priming
poll
there.
Numbers.
A lot of priming. To start whining about popular votes, this popular votes that. We know what happened from 2020, how they roll, right? Trump won on election night. And they kept counting and they kept counting. And when they closed the polls down for numerous reasons, all of a sudden the next day they were flipped. How about that? Again, I'm going to say it again. You guys in the crowd have heard it. But this is for all the new people listening. This is for all the people that may rewatch this. Let My People Go. It's a documentary you have to see before November. All right. It's pinned at the top of my Rumble page. You don't have to watch it with me, but just watch it. It's called Let My People Go. It's not that long. It won't take that much of your time. It's entertaining, and it will teach you a lot about what happened in the 2020 elections. It lays it all out. You can start. Let's see. I'll tell you where to start. Start about, and I will recommend that you start about let's see. You start about 32 minutes in. Okay, yeah, exactly. Yeah, go to 32 minutes on that stream and start it right there. All right. You'll go right to the film. It starts, and it's only about let's see. Yeah, it's only about I did some stuff at the end there too. So it's a really great film. You need to check it out. It runs about I don't know an hour or two. I'm sorry, an hour and a half to 2 hours, something like that. So watch it. It's full of information you're gonna want to know about how they rigged the elections. I'm telling you right now, if they try the same shit they did in 2020, it's going to be problems, man. If they shut down the polls, they stop counting. They're already starting to prime us for this. We went over this on Tuesday. They're starting to prime people to expect not to have the results on election night. Screw that. It's COVID ain't happening. They got to have the election results that night. I don't know what our side is doing to make sure that happens. They say overwhelm the polls, but if they can shut down the polls on election night and just keep counting and adding and finding votes, right? And keep adding stuff and keep losing votes too. They lose votes too. They lose our votes and they find their own votes, right? Once they know how many they need. And that's the problem with shutting down the polls on election night and keep counting afterwards. You can't do that. We can't allow it. It's if you can't win on election night, you can't win. If you can't get your vote in by election day, your vote you don't get to vote that time. Do better next time. That's all you can do. And so if they try it again, and we're gonna be holding our breaths on election night, we'll be right here doing it. We're covering it on election night. We will be holding our breaths together, right? But if they do it again, man, I'm gonna start sweating. I'm gonna start looking to our leadership. They can't concede this again. If they do, I don't know what to tell you, man. I really don't, because by 2028, we'll be 2 years away from the full implementation, I guess, of Agenda 2030. We'll be in the next 4 years. We'll see the most drastic transformation in our country we've ever seen. If they win, we'll be sitting here and be like, man, remember back in 2024, things were good. And we're sitting here saying things suck, right? And then they need to get better. We'll be like, man, things were good back in 2024 compared to 2028 if they get in. I mean, so there's this, we can't allow them to cheat. We have to show up. We have to represent. I believe our side will, right? But it's what they're going to do on election night that has me the most worried right now. Okay, here we go.
Poly Market just in. Donald Trump now leads Kamala Harris in Pennsylvania, Georgia, and Arizona. Breaking. Trafalgar, Insider, Advantage have released polls for Georgia and Pennsylvania. Trump is at 50 to Harris 48. Georgia, Trump 46 to Harris at 44. Trump is up. If Trump wins Georgia and PA, he'll be the 47th president of the United States. Trafalgar Group, Insider Advantage, recent polling, Trump is up in all of those polls, despite what you just saw on CNN. Now, political polls, they say the general election nationally, Harris is up 4% at 52 and Trump at 48%. And here's something interesting. This was 17 hours ago. Linda Bisonette says Fox is now one of them wolves trying to take out Trump Vance with fake polls. Does anyone truly believe that Kamala Harris is leading Donald Trump in Pennsylvania? I live in Pennsylvania. There are Trump Vance signs, at least 80% of the properties, and that's a low estimate considering I've never seen Kamala Harris sign in my travels. Josh Dunlap. This is interesting. CNN says Kamala Harris is the worst polling Democrat against Donald Trump in history on national polls.
performing worst polling Democrat against Donald Trump in history on national polls. No one is performing worse than her. No one's performing worse than her among blacks, among Hispanics, the worst performing Democrat in modern history among those demographics, worst performing polling wise among Jews. She is losing key factions of the Democratic base. Muslim voters, she's at under 50%, she's at 52% in the latest CARE poll among black Muslims. She's not doing well.
Not doing well. Leading report, new electoral college results via Real Clear Politics show Trump flipping Pennsylvania and beating Harris after new polls. Trump predicted 281 electoral college votes to Harris Wall's 257. Look at that map. Look at that map. Look at that sea of red. Speaking of red, here's a former Democrat explaining her decision to become a Republican and pledging her support to Donald Trump.
I think also there's a number of issues, but overall, the party left me, I don't know what it is anymore. If this is the new way forward for Democrats, good luck. Many of us will be leaving. It's just gone complete woke. It has abandoned key allies, such as Israel, for example. I think also as well, its economic plan. A lawn is not a plan. It doesn't matter if you grew up middle class or working class. It's not a plan overall. But I think to me, the Democratic Party has just lurched to the extreme left. It's been captured by, many call it the Hamas caucus of the Democratic Party. You'd be surprised. There have been a number of Democrats who have reached out to me saying, I'm going to leave too. How did you do it? Or I've already left. So it's actually been very, very interesting. And I intend to try to recruit all of them over to say, let's become part of the new Republican Party under this blue collar billionaire businessman that we want to see protect and lead our families and our country.
Amen. There you go. Another one walking away. Head Rasmussen pollster Mark Mitchell reveals surging Trump polling. Trump +2 is bigger than he's ever done in all of our polling at this point in the election cycle. Let's hear what he has to say.
Oh, correction. I'm so sorry, Mark. We can't hear your audio. Yeah.
In the debate, the problem is they're only talking to Democrats. They're going to try and use that debate to say that she won. And that's, of course, what they're using. The problem is they're only talking to Democrats now. And Kamala Harris is losing independents by 12 points as of our last poll. She needed to win independents over. And you cannot win independents with the content of what she put out in the debate. We're the only people putting out daily data. And there were, of course, some snap polls. But we all know the game has changed. We all know it comes down to viral stuff on TikTok or whatever. And now we have 4 nightly data points out. And the answer is, I don't know. It kind of looks the same. I will say the data has been a little bit more volatile over the last couple of days, but everybody looking at these daily data points knows that there's a plus or minus 5% margin of error on the individual ones. Now, the dotted line here is the 5-period moving average. That's much more like a real poll with a 2-point margin of error. And, we had Trump tied, Trump +6, Trump -6, Trump +6. But you know what? The average still looks like a Trump +2 race with maybe that one outlier in there. And that's exactly where we thought it was going to be and where it's stabilized at. 2 weeks ago, we had Trump +1. The New York Times agreed with us. Doesn't look like anything's really moving the race. Not a Taylor Swift tweet, not Trump getting shot at. I think it's all baked in. And so, again, you could say, oh, we want to see a bigger lead for Trump. Trump +2 is bigger than he's ever done ever in all of our polling at this point in the election cycle. And it's like literally 2 assassination attempts, your best debate, and the DNC can't get you above Trump. The Kamala Harris campaign must be sweating and acting, begging for an act of God right now. Because in my opinion, that's all that's going to move these numbers. And so maybe the next couple nights is more positive for Harris. Who knows? Because maybe there's a delayed reaction for the debate. I don't know. But Trump's going to keep doing Trump campaigning, which we've all seen. She's going to keep doing inauthentic stuff that's not primed towards addressing independence. And there you have it. That's the race.
There you have it. What else have we got for you here? There's that map again, electoral college model. Trump 312, Harris.
All right, we'll be wrapping this up here.
This is even more. 312 to 226. This is enormous. Look at that map. And both Harris and Trump voters say they're voting for their candidate, not against the other. That's according to Scott Rasmussen.
Yeah, but I think Virginia may swing too.
So big news here. Trump up in battleground states. Mainstream media is still pushing this Kamala Harris surge over.
I mean, this one thing every election, you just to see how disgusting the other side is. That's why I want us to never look anything like them. We don't have to be that to be effective. And so many people are out there using the same tactics the mainstream media uses, just to a different market in a different way. We don't need to be like them. We really don't. We just got to stay based.
Trump, everyone's questioning it, but other polls contradict. So why are these mainstream media outlets not presenting these poll numbers?
I wonder why.
It blows my mind. But we are presenting them to you here so you can get the truth, even Fox News. So big numbers here. Donald Trump,
It shouldn't even be that close.
Nate Silver. Even.
That's better. That's
Trump
much
winning
better.
312 electoral votes.
You know.
So, ladies and gentlemen, what we have revealed about the 2024 election polls, not just numbers, it's a glimpse into America's future, the shifts, the trends, the telling
Let's
a
hope
story that the
that's
political
real.
establishment does not want you to hear. It's not
Let's
just about who's
hope
up
it
or down.
happens.
It's about the fundamental realignment in American politics. You saw that
Let's
Democrats
hope that's
coming
true.
forward, jumping ship, going
That's
onto the
true.
Republican side.
Yeah.
That's happening all across this country.
That's a good
So stay
sign.
vigilant, my friends. Stay informed, and most importantly, stay tuned because in this
Stay
election, every
based.
poll, every number,
Thank you,
every
Gary.
shift.
Appreciate it. Yep. And make sure you get out there and do it. All right. We still got plenty of content for you tonight. Let's see. The economy is everything. The economy is everything. Immigration is also extremely important. I would say that they're running neck and neck in terms of importance. They're both in a bad shape. We could probably get by, but you can't get rid of an influx of people draining our resources, breaking our welfare system, and also committing massive crimes that do not want to assimilate, that are here just to here for the goodies, like that lady said earlier. Where is that other one? I'll pull this up. There's that. Don't worry, we're going to get to the COVID czar here in a second. Some undercover footage coming up. Springfield, Ohio news. Like I got a really great video that most people have never seen. The woman in it is cringy to look at, but she worked at a weapon. She worked at a gun shop in Springfield, Ohio, and she has some very interesting inside information that not many people have heard yet. So stick around for that, man. I'm telling you, you're gonna be like, holy crap, right? Here we go. We got a couple more of these. I want to pull this up here. I'm just organizing my playlist order and back to backs. Let's do it like this. Let's do it like this. All right, I want this one next because I think this one's going to go with what we're talking about. Man, moving these things on a little playlist here. All right, there we go. I'm going to put that one next. Okay, cool. All right, here we go. One of our favorites here on the channel. Okay, stop. There we go. All right. Here we go. Greg Foreman.
That post that I'm not with her, I'm like, whoa.
You know, a lot of people are calling me, or I mean, calling us and Latinos. You know,
Trump supporters set celebrity reporters straight as she tries to gaslight him on Kamala.
That's exactly what it is.
This is great.
That's exactly what
it is. Good story.
But he needs specifics. We need a different plan to get over the hump with this inflation that has caused.
They put these people on here like this, man, and like this dude, Antonio doesn't know shit, right? He's like, I think I'm going to talk. I mean, God, the ignorance about the political IQ in some places, in some people. This is what I'm talking about when I mean like the establishment narrative, right? People are boxed in, and you can see them talking like they feel like they're making a lot of sense, but they're missing so much information. So their perspective, they could be making a lot of sense if the world was actually the way they've been told to believe it is. But that, you know, for people like us who see outside the box, right? We're outside of the prison walls of the establishment narrative. Listen to some guy like this, like talk and truly believe this. When I say it's a belief system that this establishment narrative sets in, it's really, that's what it is. You're really seeing the effects of information-based mind control when you listen to these people talk. Like, just listen to him talk and look at his general body language and attitude. He truly believes what he's saying. He's comfortable with it. He thinks he has a grasp on things, but he's missing the big picture by a mile because he's never been told about it. He's never been inspired to go out there and see it.
Severe damage to a lot of businesses. She needs to be more direct. Munoz owns the 911 Taco Bar.
Like, he believes that she needs to be more direct. She needs to be this and that. Like, he actually believes that she's actually trying to be a legitimate president. Like, she's actually trying to run to fix things. Yeah, you know, it does not understand the bigger picture that's going on. Probably has never heard of Agenda 2030 in his life. Never heard of the WEF or the UN. He knows what the UN is. We probably just thinks it's, oh, it's like a, they go there and talk about, wars and stuff. Well, they do that there, but they do a lot of other shit there too.
The ribeye is the best seller.
Ribeye looks
His
good.
optimism is contagious. What a
I
scorching
don't
summer.
I'd rather have a T-bone than a ribeye, man, honestly. Where's the porterhouse? Just put the hot sauce on it. I mean, I guess it's okay. I'll try it. But you gotta, the ribeye is it's just too fatty, man. You can get really disappointed by a ribeye, but a New York strip or porterhouse, rarely you're gonna get disappointed by those steaks at all.
The catering business critical to Munoz success.
We had over 30 days of 110 degrees. So we had a lot of cancellations because people didn't want to be outside. It's starting to pick up again, but it does affect business when people don't know who they're going to vote for or where the nation is going towards. Really? Yes, it does. Because people are afraid to go out and spend. They don't know what to expect when it comes around to a new administration.
Munoz, too, sees more Latino support for Trump this time.
I have friends that were Democrats that have turned the page, and they feel that the country's not going in the right direction.
And this is for the record, he is he's leaning towards Harris. Like, why would you lean towards Harris with everything that's going on? He's going to blame the heat for people not buying stuff, not the economy.
Even those here, like Stanley Benedict, not fully enamored with Trump, plan to vote for him.
Yep.
He's got
vote for him. That's what I said. That's what I said that night. As like when they started doing this, all the shenanigans started. It's like the neocons are like they're showing their face there at Fox, man. They're going to take the that's what they were going to do. So I'm so glad that Trump held on to the party and ran again, because if the neocons had a chance, they'd take that party back so fast, and we'd be right back to where we were in 2012 and before, right? We'd be right back to where we were. The illusion of choice would be back up, and they would slam that door so hard. It'd be hard to get we'd probably never get a Donald Trump or a Ron Paul or a Vivek Ramaswamy or anybody like that ever again, an anti-establishment candidate. And that would be truly spell the end of this country. They would grind it into the ground. While we would think that we're voting for somebody who's going to make a difference. We wouldn't be. That's when I start packing up my bags and start trying to figure out where we're gonna go in this world besides here, because at that point this place is going to be going to, or maybe like that's when people start seeing, Texas, Florida, I don't know, the South, or some secession state, right? Maybe Texas, even though I don't want to. Guess their football team would go away at that point because they wouldn't be able to play football in the NFL anymore. I don't, but. It's pretty bad. But anyways, that's when I start thinking like that. Like, how am I going to get away from this shit before it totally goes haywire? But there's no place in the world to run right now. I mean, maybe another country will become the new America or something. But right now, it's looking pretty damn bad if that's happening. Okay, now check out this guy.
Big ego, and sometimes it's a little too big because he'll toot his horn a lot. But he's got a big ego, and sometimes it's a little too big because he'll toot his horn a lot.
He's voting for him.
I support him because he proved himself.
Trump or Kamala, what do you think? Fucking Trump. Trump 2024. Trump. If he ain't dead, I'm voting red.
I'm voting Trump.
2-time assassination attempt survivor.
I know, it's pretty sick. I'm not gonna lie.
Bulletproof.
Hella aura right there.
That's a hella
so
aura.
much aura. So much aura.
Trump. Who you going with? Trump.
Trump.
Hi, Trump.
Trump, of course. Yeah, 2024.
Yes, sir. Definitely more Trump.
Trump or Kamala?
Trump.
Oh, Trump. All right, guys.
Nice.
So most likely we will probably
That's pretty good, right? A little bullet clips on that. So a lot of people out there ready to support Trump. People are a lot more vocal about it now. Like, you remember in 2016, it was like people were like almost scared to put Trump signs in the yard or put stickers on the car because people were going after them and damaging them. There were all kinds of harassment was going on. I mean, people were just flat out rude and aggressive and violent in those days. Not so much in 2020. It was a little bit less. And now people are just like flat out like, yep. Flags, signs everywhere. I got on my ride. If I leave my house and I go to the local grocery store, on my ride there, I ride by at least two. And believe me, in my area, this is really good. Because, 2 Trump yards, yards with big Trump signs on it, right? Which is a big, really coming around from 8 years ago, like big time.
to be talking about the economy quite a bit today, okay, because the economy is coming into focus going into the election. And that is what most elections come down to, the economy. How do people feel about the current state of the economy? And I can tell you right now that the average, everyday, normal, working class person feels like the economy is terrible. And who knows, maybe the feds are also giving us signals that the economy is not so great, because they did a massive rate cut of 50 basis points, right? Which is something that kind of took me by surprise, okay? Because if the economy was as strong as the Biden-Harris administration says, or I don't know, CNN says, then I'm not sure why the feds would need to cut rates so aggressively, right? But the aggressive rate cut signals, in my opinion, that the economy is not great. That, and they're also trying to juice this election on behalf of Kamala Harris, okay? And I'll probably talk more about that in later videos today. But first, I want to talk about this video featuring CNN, right, the Communist News Network, approaching Trump supporters and asking them about some of the most pressing issues like the economy, like immigration, as they're at a boat parade. And let's just say that this CNN interviewer is going to get a brutal reality check after she tries to gaslight a Trump supporter with her liberal propaganda, claiming that, hey, you're not really struggling that much in this economy, right? Which is something that I'm not entirely sure why a reporter would feel the need to tell people how they're doing financially, how they're not doing financially. But for whatever reason, this CNN reporter thought it was a good idea to do that.
doubt.
So I want to react to it. So without further ado, let's get into it.
Trump is pro-American. He loves America, for one. I love America. I serve this country. I love America. We're from the same place in Queens, New York, so that's my homie.
I live in Latitude, Margaritaville.
What's your most important issue?
The economy, getting the interest rates down, getting it where we can afford to live in America. Right now, it's too expensive.
Okay, now let me maybe ask like a slightly impolite question. But, you know, if you can afford a boat, you're not hurting so bad, right? Because a boat costs a lot of money and it's a lot of upkeep.
Listen, nobody gave me shit. I earned everything that I've got. I'm retired military, retired power plant, and I am successful and retired and with boats, jet skis, because I did it right. And everybody has that chance. Whether they choose or not, that's up to them.
I would never try to take anything away from you in that way. But what I'm asking is, groceries are probably a smaller part of your budget than, say, you know, someone who's like a little worse off. I think it's interesting that people who are a little bit more comfortable are still so concerned about the economy. Did you see what I'm saying?
Because I want my money to go further. I want inflation to go down. I want interest rates to go back down. I want all that. But that covers everybody in the economy. Not just me, not just the poor, not just the rich. It covers everybody.
Now, something I've heard from some people, tell me if this applies to you, is like they're worried their kids aren't able to afford a house or a car.
No, I trained my kids and taught my kids properly. They have great educations, and they're both successful in their careers. Actually, they're doing better than me.
Yeah, so I think this CNN reporter is high, okay, to be quite honest with you, because you got to be high in order to ask somebody a question like that, to basically try to imply that, well, I don't really think you're doing that bad because you own a boat and some jet skis. Now, this guy obviously is retired. He's successful. He did everything the right way. He taught his kids to do everything the right way. And I think his overall point with that is that, you know, we live in America. And in America, you know, it is still the land of opportunity. If you do it the right way, if you work your ass off, you work hard, you can enjoy some of the luxuries in life. But that doesn't mean that you're rich. That doesn't mean that you are immune from the consequences of bad economic policy, right? Because somebody like him has to still eat, right? You still have to pay for gas. You still have to deal with the cost of living on a day-to-day basis. And everybody wants their money to stretch further, right? It doesn't matter if you're actually really struggling to get by in regards to the day-to-day. The fact is that our money is worth less today than it was 4 years ago, right? And that's a problem, right? That's a huge problem that's affecting everybody, okay? Now, again, just because you're retired and you got boats, okay, and, you know, a couple jet skis, that doesn't mean that you're rich, especially if you have acquired these things over years and years and years. Doesn't mean that you're rich, right? This guy could be retired, living on a fixed income, you know, and having, you know, these expenses go up, okay, having the day-to-day expenses go up. Yeah, that can be an issue, right? That can most certainly be an issue. But again, most importantly, it's about everybody, because people at the bottom are struggling with inflation the most. And what I find to be kind of the most offensive about these conversations around the economy is the gaslighting from the liberal media, right? Where you have these East Coast elites, like actual rich people, okay, that pretend like everything is great.
Exactly.
Okay, because they are disconnected from the average everyday person.
The United States is a roaring success right now across the world. China is a hot mess. Europe is struggling. The U.S., if you compare it to everyone else, is in an astonishing position in terms of economic growth and everything else. The problem is people don't feel it. And so she has to address people not feeling what's actually happening, and also address people who aren't benefiting from the stock market, which is at all-time highs.
Beyond not feeling it, though.
No, it's not the people's fault.
That's what I hear. People aren't feeling it.
Why aren't they feeling it? They aren't feeling it because some people are benefiting from this growth and some people aren't. And so she's got to address those
The
different.
working
So
class
there was
Latino
there was an
voter who's been
interesting
wiped out by the
tape.
Biden-Harris inflation.
There was
That is
interesting
what has
tape
happened,
by
yes.
Politico.
Another woman told us that she had a good retirement, but she worried about others who are having a hard time with higher prices. Whether they were locals or on vacation, everyone we spoke to at the boat parade was in a good mood. But underneath, there was anger about immigration.
We need a secure border. We need to do it right. And I like letting people in the right way.
Can you give me some specifics on that? Like, how do you see immigration affecting you in your life in Texas?
So I'm recently retired, but I was in the multifamily business, which was managing and owning apartments. And I see the effects of illegal immigration at my properties.
So you're telling me there have been incidents at your apartment buildings and you've had to call the cops and talk about it?
Oh, yeah. So I've seen it firsthand.
Most said Trump didn't do well at the presidential debate, though they didn't think it was his fault. And while they were ambivalent about his false claim that Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio are eating pets, they tended to defend Trump for saying it.
Now, I'm not saying they're eating cats and dogs. I think that's a little cuckoo, but they do have a different belief system. They're polite, they're nice, they're not hurting anything or anybody, but it's just, I can see the change in the demographics.
Ding, 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 right? And that's what it comes down to. This is why I think the media focusing on this Haitian migrant story, boohoo, whine and crime racism, is really going to backfire, because nobody on camera is going to say, oh, well, I don't really like the Haitians being there and that, they're doing this and that. Nobody's going to say that on camera. But behind closed doors, I guarantee you the conversations are about how this shouldn't be happening in this country, right? It doesn't matter if they're here to work or anything. No. They should not be importing migrants from other countries en masse into these small towns, okay? That type of demographic change is something that people rightfully should be concerned about. And this is something that a lot of people are going to be concerned about the country. They're not going to tell you out loud, right? They're not going to say that, hey, yeah, we don't agree with this, because they don't want to be called racist, okay? But I'm telling you, a lot of people are seeing this story, regardless of whether or not they believe the cats and dogs thing, doesn't matter. They're seeing what is happening and they don't like it, right? So I personally think the media focusing on that story so much, they're still talking about it. I think it's backfired, to be honest with you.
And not every town can absorb a big influx of population.
Do I believe that actually happened or not? Have no evidence of it. Do I doubt it? I don't know. I can't say thumbs up or thumbs down.
Do you think it shows good judgment on Trump's part to talk about it if it's not confirmed?
I think it shows good judgment for every one of us on every side to look into it. So I dare all of us to investigate it.
There you go.
And I live there, so I will.
Well, the police say they don't
Nice.
have any record of it, and the city manager says they don't have a record of it, and the governor has now
Not my governor. My governor.
Dwight.
No.
Dwight has said something about it.
I don't believe
You want me to look it up?
I'm happy to look it up all by myself.
Hold on, let's just Google it if I have service.
That's
Okay. Ohio DeWine.
Gonna pull up a CNN article. What do you want to bet?
This is something that came up on the internet, and the internet can be quite crazy sometimes. DeWine told CBS News. DeWine says he trusts city officials who have said they have not received any credible reports of such conduct. Mayor Rue of Springfield says, no, there's no truth in that. They have no evidence of that at all. So I think we go with what the mayor says. He knows the city, DeWine said.
Sure. That's a great way to pass the buck.
Yeah.
You think Trump's going to win? What do you think?
I think we'll be in the middle of a civil war either way. It doesn't matter who wins. Like he says, it's that polarizing on both sides.
Yeah. So, I'm hoping that's not the case, right?
Oh,
I'm hoping
man.
that doesn't happen.
Well, they're having a good time in
I am
Texas.
very sure that if Trump wins, the left are
They're
going to
having a
lose
good
their
time
minds,
down there. That looks
okay,
like
they are going
looks
to
like a lot of fun.
be very upset. Okay, and there's going to be some issues. Okay, if Trump wins, we already see in the consequences of their rhetoric already. Okay, going into the election. But I want you guys to notice how we're seeing the same pattern here, right? When these liberal reporters go out and actually talk to people, you find out that hey, a lot of people support Trump because of the economy, because of immigration, and you're not finding too many Kamala Harris supporters. And the ones that are supporting Kamala, they seem timid about it, right? They're kind of like,
well, that's always about.
I
the
don't really
hate
know that
crop.
much about her, blah, 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 blah. But again, I think what it shows you is that the real people on the ground, right? Actual normal everyday Americans, a lot of them I think are leaning towards Trump. I mean, I have friends in my life that were not Trump supporters, but now they're hardcore MAGA. Okay. Some of that is due to the fact that, this is my job, right? So they be listening to me and stuff like that. And then now all of a sudden they're like, hey, all right, we're supporting Trump too. Okay. But yeah, I mean, that's what's happening, right? I mean, when I talk to, family members and other people as well too, it's like, yeah, I mean, a lot of people are going Trump, right? And I don't think that these people are being polled. I don't think that they're being represented in the polls. I think that the polls are being oversampled, okay, to represent Democrats more, okay? I mean, in fact, I was listening to this clip of Bill O'Reilly talk about the polls.
Whether this is true or not, but it has a ring of truth to it. Some of the polls that want to deliver positive results for the vice president are now heavy canvassing women. So when you get the methodology for the poll, it now shows conservative, it shows liberal, it shows independent, or Democrat, Republican, independent. I forced those poll companies last year to do that, and I'm happy I did. But you don't have any gender. So you can put the thumb on the scale.
So you think it's oversampled?
2 to 1, oversample the constituency that is going to vote most for Kamala Harris, which are American women. If you
that's another one of those manipulation tactics they do. Oh yeah, look, the polls are credible, they're official, they're things you should look to make your opinion and understand what everybody thinks through that. But yeah, we've rigged them.
Sample, you'll get a more favorable thing. Now, somebody told me that's what's going on. It sounds right, but I cannot say it's a fact.
Yeah, well, I think that's the case, right? I'm going to run with that, Bill. I'm going to run with that and say, yes, I believe that's what's happening, okay? Because I just personally do not think that Kamala Harris has as much support as the liberal media is claiming. I don't think that is real. I think that what is happening is that they're trying to create a self-fulfilling prophecy. This is what Democrats do every election. I think this kind of explains why the polls are kind of all over the place, okay? Because you have some people in the polling industry that are trying to manufacture a Kamala Harris victory, right? By basically putting out these polls showing Kamala Harris winning, although it's probably skewed. Okay.
It also sets the stage for the steal, right? It also happens to manufacture the narrative for the steal. So they still be like, well, look at the polls leading up to it. The polls all had her winning, so that's why they do that. That's why they tell you that it's going to take longer for the decision to come in. This is all part of them rigging it's like a pre-rigging, right? They're helping they're building their cover story for when they rig it, right?
And what that does, it creates this effect, this idea that, well, everybody's voting for Kamala Harris, right? Everybody's on Team Harris, and they want to try to manufacture that outcome in the election, okay? And I think that's what happens, and I think this is why you have Trump always overperforming the polls when it comes time to vote, because the polls are rigged, right? They're rigging the polls in favor of the Democrats to show better outcomes for Democrats than what is actually happening, right? And again, I wouldn't be surprised because, again, these are the same people that lie to us about the economy, right? They try to tell us that the economy is great, but yet the Fed, they're cutting interest rates by 50 basis points. That's not something that you do when the economy is great. I'm just saying, it doesn't make sense. So, we'll see what happens moving forward. I just personally believe that real Americans, that people on the ground, a lot of them, I think, are going for Trump, to be honest with you. But let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.
All right, cool. All right, so let's see that one. Okay, I gotta make a decision here. Where are we at? 124, 142. Make a decision. Okay. I haven't heard that one yet. Okay. Hey guys, what's up out there? All right, I want to be able to get to the Springfield, and I want to get back to the second assassination, the Ryan Ruth, Ralph. They call him Ralph. I call him. I guess it's really Ralph or whatever. More about that guy. Some of the things that are going around about him, I want to debunk without going into a lot of great detail about it. I want to restate my opinion about this, which I think it's just kind of like moving, which is going to be proven true. But I'm okay with the way the narrative's going, at least, because there is a lot of violent rhetoric coming out of it. But I think that what we're going to find out is this guy is an accelerationist, and he really just wanted World War III to happen so that Russia would get flattened. I think that's the bottom line. That's going to be his motivation when we come out. I like to say, I'm going to try to say it often so that it's on record. So I think I have the only take out there that's like that. And of course, I won't be able to get that blasted out into the universe with very far, but I'll put it out there. The let's see, what is this? This story is interesting. We got this. Let's do we just heard about the economy, so I don't think we need to go into that one. JD, I have one on Vivek Ramaswamy was right, but yeah, I don't think we know about investors panicking over Kamala Harris destroying the economy. I think we just got a good dose of that. Let's take a look at this, and then we're going to get into the COVID czar, Steven Crowder undercover investigation. This one's going to be juicy, but I want to stick on point here with a State of Daniel video about hearing from the vice presidential candidate, JD Vance. I'm trying to include him more and more so that we get more of what he sounds like and what he's talking about while he's out there. So let's take a look at this.
You know how this works, but I'll sort of give some insight into your into this for your viewers and your listeners. Okay, so I have said publicly, I've been attacked by this from the left. I've said, look, Kamala's own internal polls are not very good right now. And of course, the lefties say, well, J.D. Vance is the VP candidate for Republicans. Nobody in Kamala Harris's campaign is talking to him. And that's right, by the way. Kamala Harris's campaign is not talking to me, but they are talking to journalists. Yeah. And then those journalists want insights into what's going on with the
We're going to do a little bit of
see
this.
our internal numbers. Yeah. And look, the journalists are telling me that Kamala Harris doesn't like her numbers. The journalists are telling me our campaign does like their numbers. There's a consistency of story here.
Journalists
but
act is kind of like it's an information.
They're like the intelligence operatives, right? Like,
Totally true. And in fact, some of them are working for intelligence operatives.
Yeah, journalists are to electoral politics what like the CIA is
It's
to international
totally true.
relations.
People think, just like in polling, they think, oh, polls are designed to measure what people think. Journalists are designed to report what happened. No, journalists are players in the political system.
Yes.
And they do not disclose that to their readers, and you see it up close. But it's interesting. They play the role of kind of like covert diplomats between the
Yes, they do. Yeah, and I'll tell you, I mean, in 2016, what the journalists were telling you was Hillary Clinton's campaign is confident, but then some of them, like Bill Clinton, were very not confident.
Yeah.
And in 2020, they were saying nobody really knows what's going on. And in 2024, they're saying Kamala Harris is feeling a little bit rough about her chances. Yeah. The Trump people are feeling good about their chances. Look, I think we're in a good spot, but you can't take this stuff for granted, right? And by the way, I think it goes in both ways, right? If you take two rows of a picture, you can get demotivated. If you take too pessimistic of a picture, you can get demotivated. Excuse me, we still have to do our job. We have to go out there, persuade voters. We have to go out there and knock on doors. If you're watching this and you want to get involved in the campaign, like go and do it. Go to donaldjtrump.com, volunteer, become a door knocker, because we actually can win this race. I think we will win this race, but not if we sit on our asses and don't get out there and work.
I think Vance is absolutely right. And he actually exposed some more insider information to Tucker Carlson, which I'll share in a moment. But the reason I wanted to make this video is because a slew of polls have come out today, and they've all been favorable for Kamala Harris and really bad for Donald Trump. And you guys know me. I love data. I love numbers. But when I was taking a close look at these polls, the numbers themselves did not match up. They did not line up. Something fishy is going on and something doesn't make sense. And let me prove it to you. Here is an example. Gallup, which obviously is well-known, a household name when it comes to polling. Gallup found that not only is Donald Trump more popular today than he's ever been, he has a 46% favorability rating. He's actually more popular, more favorable than Kamala Harris, which she currently stands at 44%. And the inverse is also true. Kamala Harris is more unpopular. She has a higher unfavorability rating of 54% compared to Trump's 53%. So Trump is more popular. Kamala Harris is more unpopular. And yet the polls show Kamala Harris winning. Like it doesn't add up. And when you take a closer look at the numbers, the same thing holds. For example, yesterday, Donald Trump was in New York. He made the claim that he's going to fight to win New York. Well, the polls, this actually just came out yesterday from the New York Times showing that Donald Trump is winning the Jewish vote in New York. You'll notice in the middle box, close to the top, Donald Trump with 54% of the Jewish vote compared to 44% of the Jewish vote. That is a huge, huge turnaround for Donald Trump. But not only is that a big turnaround, what is really eye-opening is at the bottom half of this data are the undecideds. The last few row are undecideds. And it says, if you had to choose today, who would you vote for? And among the undecided Jewish voters, they went 76% to 0% for Kamala Harris against Donald Trump. What are the odds of that among undecided voters
weird.
when the rest of the Jewish population in New York has split for Donald Trump? So there are a lot of numbers that don't make sense. You consider he's now winning the Jewish vote in New York. Donald Trump has the highest share of the black vote.
We're game rigging. We're just kind of in between talking about polls and this and that. We're also talking about how they're rigging and they're preparing their excuses to rig it or to steal it. So that, it's up front. Again, upfront narrative building.
Among any Republican, the highest share of the Hispanic vote, Asian vote, you can go down the list. And yet somehow Trump is behind in all these states. I'll do one more. Yesterday, the Teamsters straw poll was revealed. Before Joe Biden dropped out, he was leading Trump by 8 points, 44.3% to 36.3%. And then when Biden dropped out and now they swapped in Kamala Harris, all of a sudden Trump is leading by 27 points, 58 to 31%. Teamsters membership.
We know what happened. T-Rex went there and talked to him.
Affliction and hardship awaits those who resist.
That's right. Our very own Teamster T-Rex truck.
What, 1.5 million members all over the U.S., especially in northern states, especially in Rust Belt states.
Right, Wolfgang?
Huge,
exactly.
Hugely concentrated in Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin. And somehow, we're supposed to believe that Trump has made all these inroads, and yet somehow the polls show Kamala Harris on top. There is something fishy going on with the polls here, and I can't quite. They're really.
It's like, hello, are you new to this? I think he's new.
Is no way to explain those discrepancies unless what JD Vance is saying is correct. Now, JD made a great point about, you know, who is putting together these polls and what are their goals.
The same people who put those public opinion polls together are the same people who say, for example, that Donald Trump was going to lose Wisconsin by 17 points. Remember that? 3 days before the 2020 election, Donald Trump was supposed to lose Wisconsin by 17 points. And set to the side all of the debates about what happened in 2020, Wisconsin was basically a tied election. So these guys use public polls, they use the media, not even just to manipulate public opinion, but to manipulate our leadership about what public opinion actually says.
So how does that happen? So those polls are fake, is what you're saying?
Oh, absolutely, they're fake. They're absolutely fake. And we see this, I mean, again, you know, this is like very nerdy, but let's like go down this polling rabbit hole. Okay. So I you know, a friend of mine, I think is the best pollster in America. Every race I've ever seen him poll, he's way better than anybody else. Okay. So good pollster versus a standard media pollster. Tony Fabrizio, great guy. He's the president's pollster. Okay. Take a standard media poll and ask yourself, like, what are they doing? Those polls are all conducted by what's called online panels. In other words, they have a group of people that they go to again and again and again. They ask their opinion. Well, who are the people who are going to respond aggressively to online panels about what they feel about every issue of the day? A bunch of highly engaged, typically far left, typically people with professional degrees, people who are not representative of the American people at large, right? Meanwhile, most Americans are trying to pay their mortgage and trying to take care of their kids and trying to do all the things that are necessary to live a life in this country. And they're not answering the phone when a pollster picks up. So if you actually look at the good pollsters, they're telling you a radically different story because they're talking to a representative sample of the United States. And the fake media pollsters are talking to a very narrow slice of the United States. And again, they're trying to sell us a story. And it's not just, again, this is not primarily to manipulate the American people. I think it's to manipulate us, meaning elected officials, because I've sat in lunches with a number of my colleagues who will say, look at this poll and look how Americans are responding to this or that issue. And then you realize that that exact same poll was wildly inaccurate 2 years ago. Why are you making your judgments about what the American people believe based on some poll? And oh, by the way, why don't you express some leadership? Why don't you just actually have a view and go to the American people and try to persuade them that your view is wise and then enact legislation in accordance with that wisdom, right? Like that's how real leadership should work.
What's so deceptive, and I think what people don't realize is that a lot of these polls are designed not to measure opinion, but to shape it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they are tools of influence.
100%.
Yes.
President Trump said this recently in an interview, where he said that the purpose of some of these polls would say, okay, you're down 17 points in Wisconsin. So say you're a Republican voter, you want to support Donald Trump and JD Vance. And of course, the polls now are much better for us than they were back in 2020. But let's say you want to support President Trump and you read a story that says he's down by 17 points in Wisconsin. Why even show up? Right? So there's a voter suppression dynamic here where you try to get people to get depressed and to drop out of the democratic process. Don't even go and vote if the president is down by so much. The purpose of these polls is actually manipulation of both the public themselves, but also, of course, elected officials. And I think that we have to have the courage to trust our own convictions, to say, screw you, I don't buy the polls, and to do what you think is right on behalf of them.
What's really interesting about this election is I think this is really the first election that's going to be pitting traditional media, the old guard, versus independent media, the new guard. And you take a look at what the Trump Vance campaign is doing. Yes, they are granting interviews to traditional mainstream corporate media outlets, but they're also going on the road with Tucker Carlson, Megyn Kelly, Joe Rogan, and all these other podcasters and alternative media influencers, alternative media voices. And it's very exciting because I think it'll show a new way forward for how candidates, leaders, and patriots can really speak directly to the American people and bypass the corporate media filter that they try to impose on our politicians. Now, what's really interesting here is Kamala Harris doesn't have a lot of campaign events listed on her website. Now, if what JD Vance is saying is true, then my belief is that this will reflect in Harris's schedule, right? If she really is unsure about her polling numbers, if she, is less rosy internally than the campaign is publicly putting out there, then she's going to be going to more blue states. And that's exactly what her campaign is showing. Now, her website obviously is a mess, very little on it. So I got this from USA Today. Now, they did leave something out. She is going to Georgia tomorrow, September 20. So they left that out. But the two other stops on the schedule for this week are Michigan and Wisconsin, both of which are, if the polls are correct, supposed to be barely blue right now. You would think she'd want to go on the offense even more.
She's going to go to Georgia again and put on her fake Southern accent and then make a fool out of herself again. I wonder where she's going to speak at.
Yeah, in Arizona and North Carolina. But it appears that Kamala is playing defense. I get playing defense in Michigan and Pennsylvania, but Wisconsin? Really? So the fact that she's going
I
to
woke up with a
Wisconsin
headache
really
today too.
betrays maybe how the campaign is actually feeling. And then the inverse again is true. Donald Trump yesterday went to New York. What does the Trump campaign know about New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania that they're not telling the public? And here's why I think, even if people think New York is far-fetched, and, I do realize it's far-fetched, and I personally believe that. But Trump has every single motivation to want to win this. And forget about the presidency. We forget all about this lawfare that's happened against him just because the trials and the sentencing in the New York case have been put on pause or delayed, right? This election could literally be, and I don't mean to over exaggerate, but it could literally be the difference between whether or not Donald Trump dies in jail or dies a free man. Truly. He has every reason to want to win this campaign and to want to make sure the data is right. So I don't think, he's just wasting time, money, energy in New York. I think there was a purpose he went there. One final thing, again, I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole into the polls that came out today, but just to, prove the point in the larger picture, this is Nate Silver's latest forecast. You can see a drastic downturn based on the latest polls that have come in for former President Donald Trump. 51% probability of winning compared to Harris's 48.8%. Now, if we break this down further, Trump, according to Nate, if the election was held today, would get 260.
Where does Nate get his information from? I mean, that's again, I'm looking at this going, okay, yeah, it's close, really. I mean, I get there's a lot of brainwashed people out there. There's a lot of disinterested people out there, but there's a lot more excitement out there for Trump. There always has been. There was in 2020 as well. So, and they try to explain that away as, well, the Democrat voters don't feel like they have to do that or whatever because they already know what they're going to do. So I don't get it, but when it came down to Obama, they were pretty damn excited about him both runs. So there you have it.
65.5 electoral votes. Of course, 270 is needed to win. So Trump would fall short. Now, the reason Silver puts Trump with the higher electoral college probability is because he still factors in what those trend lines are doing. In other words, his model doesn't just use the raw polling data. If you want just the raw numbers without any manipulation, go to RCP, Real Clear Politics. Now, their manipulation is they choose what polls to include, but RCP was closer to the actual results. And we know that that's what the Trump campaign uses, closer than 538. And 538 is very bullish right now for Kamala Harris. As always, this is my commentary and analysis. And I'd love to know what you think down in the comments below. What do you think about what JD Vance said about Kamala Harris's
my comments,
polling numbers?
Well, I think JD Vance had a lot of good things to say. Thanks, Daniel. Appreciate it. All right. Now this guy, I haven't seen this yet, but this is good. Steven Crowder investigates, caught in the act. And this is definitely going to get you a little bit riled up. It looks like he got a Wikipedia sticker from I call it a sticker banner from YouTube for this video. So I guess I'll get one too. It's like a badge of honor, huh? All right. My badge of honor coming up probably means I'm going to get like a yellow $sign too. But you know what? I'm covering the news. You want analysis, media analysis? That's what I'm doing right here. All right, here we go. Caught. New York City COVID czar amidst forcing vaccines and having drug-fueled sex parties. I mean, but look at this guy, dude. Who's going to his drug-fueled sex parties? That's what it's you. Yeah. Yeah.
I actually was the one who convinced the mayor to make it a mandate. So the way we do it in public health is we make it very uncomfortable to be unvaccinated. They didn't get vaccinated.
I mean, seriously, dude. I think he's from looks like he's from Saudi Arabia or something. He reminds me of the dude who was in Cannonball Run that played Klinger. But anyways, yeah, so he just said that the way they do it is to make it very uncomfortable for people who don't get vaccinated. What a slime ball. Make it very uncomfortable. That's how we coerce you. That's how we manufacture your consent. Yep, I was waiting for that from the crowd. Loud.
Because they heard him say.
Loud from the crowd.
It was really hard.
Do you think you have gotten a hard time if New York City found out that you're having sex parties during COVID?
Yeah.
See, you put these kooks on a date with a pretty girl, and they'll just run their mouths. You put a few drinks in them, pretty face in front of them. They're like, "Oh yeah, I'm a real bad boy. I'm a real bad boy."
Yeah, it would have been real bad.
Yeah.
What the hell? I'm a real bad boy.
So I want you to take yourself back to March of 2020. Okay, mentally. The beginning of the COVID pandemic. Right? The streets of New York City looked like a dystopian sci-fi movie, albeit with less charm and more hobo urine. No, more than normal for New York City. No, it was even worse than the rest of the country. Thousands of businesses were forced to close. Millions of New Yorkers lost their jobs overnight, and loved ones were forced to die alone in quarantine. And the man you're about to meet is responsible for all of it, Dr. Jay Varma.
I started my career, I worked for the CDC for 20 years, so I kind of lived all over the world doing infectious disease work. So I used to spend time doing public health where I go to different, so I lived in Bangkok and in Beijing and in Ethiopia.
So exciting.
And so what I did was, my job was to go and help countries.
This as he played that, she was like, "Oh, so exciting! Do tell me more about all the bad things you've done." Wolfram, what's up? I don't think he is. I don't think so.
Like build resistance to detect and respond to diseases. So kind of like during COVID, where you had to set up a testing program and a vaccination program, and you need to monitor the numbers. That was like the type of thing I did for my career at CDC, go to different countries and help them do that. The mayor's team contacted me because I was in New York before that, and they contacted me to come back. So I moved back from Ethiopia to New York to run the COVID response for the city. So I like set up all.
They imported him from Ethiopia. What's up with this dude? What? This is the weirdest thing. Wrong plumbing. So yeah, he does look like Cleaner from MASH. He does. But well, I mean, this guy's like some kind of world grifter or something, man. What does he do? Vegas odds. This just in from T-Rex Trucking and More. I guess the and more is gambling. Vegas odds have Trump winning. Oh, who could have guessed? Tonight, the and more is gambling. Yes. All right. And teamstering. So Jay Varmint. His name's hold on. Wait. His name's Dr. J. Seriously? Seriously? Hold on, I'll rewind it. I tell you.
To run the COVID response for the city. So I like set up all the testing and vaccine program. I actually was the one who convinced the mayor to make it a mandate. I was on TV for a year and a half. So I was on the press conference every day for a year and a half. Every morning they kind of
What?
Yeah, with the mayor. I had to sit next to him.
For COVID?
Yeah, for COVID, yeah. I'm very Googleable, but I'm not like.
Okay, I didn't Google you. Maybe I should have.
You can Google me now.
Okay, I'll do it.
If that turns you on.
If that turns you on. What a creep, dude. Creepy. Oh, creepy. Look at this nice little transition they put here. Watch.
Now, there's more to Dr. Varma than mere medical tyranny here. It's a classic story of the rules for thee, but not for me, as we see with a lot of unelected bureaucrats. But this story is not one about hypocrisy. I want to be clear. Everyone's a hypocrite. It's not lost on me. This is a story about those in charge not fearing what it is that they demanded you fear in a way that altered your life. You were told to fear going to church. You were told to fear meeting family, fear running your business, or even vote. Remember that? It was so dangerous, you needed to vote from home by any means possible, while you, the peasants, were locked down and not allowed to gather with more than 10 people at a time. Elites, like Jay Varma, well, he was hosting sex parties.
It's so funny. It's like because I did all this like deviant, like sexual stuff while I was like on TV and all this stuff. Yeah. And people are like, aren't you afraid? Aren't you embarrassed? And I was like, no, actually, I'm like really like I love being my authentic self. So I got every type of range of everything. Okay. And I've been to a lot of like
trying to entice her.
Lots of like fake parties.
Okay, so what were the sex parties that you
Cool.
So that I didn't. So I never went to a like public type one. We actually had a like my wife and I like had one with our friends like in August of like that first summer. Because all our friends were just like, well, it wasn't so much sex. They were just like, I need to get like this energy out of me and stuff like that. Yeah. So we rented a hotel. I think kind of sneaked about because hotels didn't want people gathering there. Because I was like running the entire program of the city. I like had a whole like had everything tested the right way. I told me where to get tested. Showed me the results. And it was fun. We all like took like Molly. And it was like 8 or 9 of us in there, 8 to 10 of us in the room, and everybody had a blast because everybody was like so out. Like everybody was just like stuck together and stuff like that. Yeah, it's amazing.
Oh, does this guy know Nick Ricada?
Something about like bodies being close to each other, like just being like naked with friends. During COVID, we just had private parties. Anyway, it was big. Yeah, so it was just home in our home or other places. That was the one we did during COVID because in like it was like August 2020, all of our friends, people were friends, stuff, we were all in this place all the world. And he was just like head down. And so I did like a whole like testing protocol for everybody. It was a relatively small. I mean, small as in like no COVID test. It was like 10 to 12 people.
Okay, so violate the draconian lockdowns that the rest of the population has to follow for a mass sex party once, shame on me. Violate your own draconian mandates again over a year later when your rules only allow for a max gathering of 50 people so that you can attend a drug-fueled underground dance party with 4 times that number of people. Shame on.
Now, officials say gatherings continue to play a role in the increase. While anyone planning on a big party, officials are telling you, think again.
The only way I could do this job for the city was if I had some way to blow off steam every night.
Do you think you'd have gotten like a hard time if like the like New York City found out that you're having sex parties during COVID?
Yeah, it would have been real embarrassing.
Yeah, you can keep it. Yeah, keep it.
Actually, the only time I felt kind of nervous was fairly early on, right when we were about to do the vaccine mandate, right before we did it. There hadn't been any like dance clubs in New York City yet. And we went to some, we had a wild night, like we went to like a boat, we always dance parties on boats, and then we went to some like underground like dance party, like underneath a bank in Wall Street. And we were all rolling, we were all taking Molly, and everybody was high. And I was so happy because it hadn't done that in like a year and a half, like a year or whatever. And but I was looking around being like, what are the season because this was not.
Wait, when was that?
It was like May or June of 2021. So it was like the spring. So the vaccines had become available, but nobody had really kind of thought about having like, well, I hadn't thought of going to a big stuff party.
Was the vaccine mandate out?
Not yet. It was for small groups. It was for certain city workers, but it wasn't. There wasn't a citywide. You can't go to clubs or bars yet. That happened in June.
So people were like losing their jobs at that time if they didn't get it.
There might have been, but not it's a very small number of people. Most people, everybody can get it.
How big was the party?
200 people. It was like the bottom of some bank.
And then when your turn comes up to get the vaccine, we want you to get that because that is the path to parties.
Okay, so that seems bad at first glance,
Jacob?
And second, and all of them. But I'm willing to bet that giant sex parties are not what you missed most, and certainly not what you missed out on most during the COVID pandemic. If you were in New York, probably loved ones, holidays, family gatherings, especially around Thanksgiving and Christmas, that time where Governor Cuomo was sicking law enforcement on unsuspecting citizens and you were being chastised by your elected officials. What about that? What did Mr. Varma do then?
Health officials discouraging travel during the approaching holiday season as scores of cities are dealing with surges in coronavirus cases.
My wife's family was in Seattle and they went back over Christmas, that first COVID Christmas. I couldn't go because publicly I encouraged New Yorkers not to travel. And so, the mayor was like, you really can't go with your family, you gotta stay here. Because if they catch you on, if somebody takes a picture at the airport of you, they'll...
Did the mayor know about your party?
No. I'm talking about that part of my life.
Yeah.
Okay, that one's pretty rough too. But I'm sure these people believe some of what they espouse. For example, a lot of you who didn't get the vaccine, right? Because you believe there was some kind of natural immunity if you'd already had the virus, and you were told absolutely not. That's not the case, especially in New York, social distancing masks. You need a minimum of 4 doses of the vaccine.
And if you're 50 years old or above, you need 4 doses.
I'm sure that's consistent when they don't know cameras are running, right?
I know people that won't have sex with someone that didn't get the COVID vaccine. And I don't know enough to know if that's like
that's like a weird, I think it's a weird belief that somehow their body is different. It's not any difference at all. Everybody's exposed to the virus, and you're exposed to the virus because it breathed on you or because you got injected you. It's the same immune response.
Okay, so it turns out science is a thing, and that one looks kind of bad. But let's not rush to judgment. Don't write Dr. Varma off as some power-hungry villain just yet. Good people sometimes do bad things, or they make mistakes. Those in charge could still have been looking out for you, and in no way does this prove that people like Dr. Varma get a thrill out of psychologically manipulating people to abuse their own power, exert control, while completely disregarding the life-destroying rules that they apply to people like you, right? Right?
When it comes to the vaccine, I think people will believe it more if it's really consistently validated by healthcare professionals.
That's a Blasio. So how did you convince him to do it?
Well, I had actually been talking to him about it since even before the vaccines were available. I was like, you're going to have to do it this way. And so we came up with this medical, we're going to climb this ladder. We're going to first start voluntarily, and then we're going to be pushing this. So the way we do it in public health is we make it very uncomfortable to be unvaccinated. You can't get a job, you can't go to a restaurant, you can't go to school. It's like, I'm just going to get vaccinated.
So was it technically kind of forcing people?
Yeah, that's what you force people by making it real.
Yeah.
Your car comes with seatbelts and airbags. You have to actively.
Scumbag.
You can still drive with a seatbelt, right? The car doesn't shut off, but beeps all the time.
Right.
Yeah, that's the whole idea. The whole idea is you build barriers so that people are just going to do it because I'm tired of being around.
So it was kind of forcing people.
Yeah, and the whole point of the education is, this is where I have all these talks. I give people a pumped up about it. It's people think, oh, I'm going to give you lots of information so you'll do the right thing. No, the reason I keep the information is so that I'm going to make it really hard to to be unvaccinated. And then once, and I'm going to also give you a lot of information about getting vaccinated, why it's good. So that once you finally say, I'm just going to get vaccinated, you at least know that, oh, well, at least they told me it's really safe. So do you understand the difference? They didn't get vaccinated because they heard it was safe. They came in because it was really hard.
It's not so much about finding them arresting.
Yeah, you see how they abuse that buyer's journey right there? We talk about a lot here, right? They raised awareness about it. They put out their research on it, their narrative, their false narrative about it, right? So then you have to consider whether you're, whether you're willing to give all this up and have life hard on yourself for not participating. So then your decision would be what they want it to be. That's how they manufactured consent.
It's about making the default choice the easy one. So you just have to do it that way.
I mean, are people really smart enough to do this on their own?
No, that's why we were. And that's why I told you about the education. It's like, I don't expect the education to change your behavior. I'm just going to make it really hard for you to do your job. And then I'll give you education so that when you finally give in, you feel like,
and strong.
This is the right thing.
Yeah. All I can say to people is that this is not a conspiracy. This is like people working flat out, doing the best they possibly can.
I think the important thing here is just, again, be led by the facts and the data.
Oh, the COVID vaccine deniers?
Yeah.
They're not cases. They're not cases. But the guys who are vaccinated are like right-wing nut cases.
Yeah, I mean, okay, what do we do with those people?
That's why you have to have rules, because you can't convince them. You have to like just pass laws that say like, you got to do this. So that's what we do in public health and everything else. So I can't always just do it the right thing to do. Is I have to also make sure it's the right thing with the whole like world of everything else.
Ah, yes, those nutcases for whom Varma made life exceedingly difficult. Interesting fact, one of those nutcases was NBA star Kyrie Irving.
The team just announced that superstar point guard Kyrie Irving won't play or practice with the team until he's eligible under the local COVID-19 vaccination mandate.
See, there's a basketball player named Kyrie Irving. Kyrie Irving, he refused to get vaccinated. But because he played for the team in Brooklyn, because of the vaccine mandate that I passed, he was not allowed to play. So it became this huge national issue about why Kyrie Irving wasn't allowed to play basketball because he was refusing to get vaccinated. Like, this is a fun part of my life. So I got to be on, so the Wall Street Journal wrote a whole story about me being the one that blocked Kyrie Irving from playing basketball.
I was not expecting, a mandate to be brought down in a way that it wasn't going to allow me to play at all.
I just think he's passive on his ass because he's like trying to like I'm not in a position to tell him how to dribble better or how to shoot better. Like, I can be a fan and I can say, oh, I'm not going to be like, I can go coach him. Why is he turning around and saying that, like, I'm not going to tell him he doesn't know how to dribble and they know the dribble. Like, don't tell me, like, how the science works.
There was no plan in place. There was no vision of like how it's going to work for our team. And I think that really impacted not just me, but a lot of people. So, just had to sit in that hot seat for a little bit and deal with it, man. Life of a martyr, bro.
Good job.
If only Kyrie Irving was having underground sex parties as opposed to trying to make a living through his elected profession. But the same, by the way, can be said of trade workers, business owners, employees all across New York, and, by the way, the country. Again, for you, the COVID policies were devastating.
The mayor admitting this morning the NYPD's social distancing enforcement efforts aren't working. A rough arrest of a young mother with her child in her hands.
Life-altering. But for people in charge, like Varma, it was actually pretty easy. Well, I'll let him explain it to you.
Oh, like, how did you not, like, go crazy during it? And I think the reason I didn't is because I felt like I had control. Yeah. It was getting done to you. Yeah. I was like, I was the one, like, making the decisions about what happened. So, like, I didn't feel like I was lost control. And I think that's what really ends up freaking any of us out. Like, when your life is, like, all uncertainty, it's still, right?
And there it is. Control. People like Varma weren't scared because they were in control. You were scared because you had no control. It was all controlled for you. And there will be another installment on this. But before we get to that, did I mention in reviewing this footage, I couldn't help but feel compelled to meet Mr. Varma.
I can't wait.
And so I flew to New York and we had a little chat. We may never be able to get them to answer. But today, I was able to ask Dr. J. Varma.
Oh my gosh!
There you go.
I can't wait to see that.
Join my club today.
Let's go. Okay, guys, I promise when that comes out, we will watch that because that is so good. But that guy's a scumbag and a half, man. See, we all felt like something like that was going on underneath, right? We all felt like it was a big scam. And we all knew, like the crowd's mentioning here, Pelosi in the hair salon, right? Newsom having dinner parties, right? They didn't care. They were in control. They were in control. They were getting their agenda pushed forward for control. And I bet you even useful idiots like him don't even realize the bigger master plan at hand. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing, right? He probably is too busy getting high and living off his vices to and controlling and dominating and being authoritative to people, that he didn't even realize what a useful idiot puppet he was, and what the bigger consequences are for these things that he was doing, right? Yeah, Keith, exactly. Yep, another so-called conspiracy proven factual. Yep. Well, like I said, symptomatic of a bigger one that's going on. We all know what that is. And so, yeah, very, very good piece by Crowder. Does great work, man. Does great work. Love him or hate him, but he does great work, man. So I think most people like him. I like him. I've always supported him. All right. Okay, so Springfield. So that was an interesting little story there. But I want to show you another story this is the one I promised you. Most people haven't seen this, and it's going to be eye-opening. Now, again, I warn you, this woman's a little hard to look at, and I can already hear the comments coming from the crowd coming out. But at least she's blowing the whistle on something, man. But she might not have the best choices in what she does to her body, but you'll see what I'm talking about. But man, a lot of people have never seen this. So I'm guessing that this is on the 100. Take it with a grain of salt, I guess. But when I listened to it, it sounded pretty damn convincing. And so I have a lot of questions about this as well. But let's watch it together and analyze it together, and you guys tell me what you think about this. Springfield, Ohio, selling weapons to immigrants, quote unquote immigrants.
I'm Libby.
Libby, you agree to be videotaped?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. And what were you? What is it that you do?
So I no longer do it. I ended up leaving the job, but I used to work for a gun store in Springfield, Ohio.
And how recently was that?
This was last year. It's been within the last year.
Okay. And you left them about 2023 or sometime in 24?
It's been about 10 months since I left, so yes, 2023.
Okay. And what were you telling us about gun sales to folks who were undocumented?
So when I worked there, we would have about 10 to 15 Haitian men come in every day. Normally, it was just one in the group that would try and purchase a firearm. Most of them did not have U.S. IDs. They had Mexican IDs. In other countries, I'm not really sure, but the most popular was Mexican. And they would come in trying to purchase firearms. And I was told that I had to process the sales just like everybody else, like I would any other customer. And I would, and they were going through just fine, even though they weren't U.S. citizens. So I would have to put them on the do not sell list, so they were not getting firearms.
Okay, so right away, I just want to say that, despite the lips and the eyelashes and everything, she seems to be telling the truth. Just the way that she's presenting the story, and the way that she's making, just from what I know about body language, she appears to be telling the truth. So anybody out there that wants to chime in on this authenticity of it, let me know. I'm definitely listening. But I feel like I've watched this one time before. I feel like that she's telling the truth through this. What do you guys think?
Okay. And so that's not supposed to happen.
No,
right?
No, because I was having U.S. citizens getting put on the do not sell list because they lived in a house that somebody who had lived there before had been on the do not sell list, so they were not allowed to purchase firearms.
Okay, but these were all going through.
Yes.
And you put them on a.
So look at this. People talk and they say, "Oh, we need to have common sense gun laws. We need to have this and that. We need to outlaw these type of weapons because of this and that." Right? But look at all this background checking going on here. Look at all this do not sell list stuff going on here. Right? I mean, that's the one thing you can get out of this as well, is that there seems to be people out there that have to follow a procedure that seems to be working already. So, where's the issue again? It's just more manufacturing an excuse to gun grab, right? To attack the Second Amendment so that we don't have a way to defend ourselves.
Do not sell list. And then what happened?
I was told I was not allowed to do that because it was something with the Second Amendment.
Okay. And how many firearms do you think you sold during the time you were there in that situation?
Probably 40.
Okay. And usually groups of people, but one of them will try to get a gun?
Yes.
Okay. And
Anything else you want to share, or things that you noticed when you were there that?
Just that there would be large groups. I had one incident. This gentleman came in and he did have a state ID. That was the only one that had an Ohio issued state ID. It did not have his current address on it. And this was my first issue that I've ever had with them. It was the first customer that I had that was Haitian. And I asked him, you know, is this your current address on the license? Because that's something we have to ask everybody. And he said, no, that's not my current address. I said, okay, then I cannot sell you this firearm right now. You're going to have to go to the DMV, get a change of address form, and then we can proceed. And then he looked at me and said, I'm just kidding. That's my address. And I told him, well, you already told me you don't live there, so I can't proceed with this transaction. And I got cussed out. He tried to physically take the gun out of my hands. And then my boss told me just to process it. It wasn't a big deal, even though if it was anybody else, I couldn't have done that. So.
Do you think that the gun stores are getting pressure, or how is it that they're approving all this stuff?
I genuinely, I have no idea. I do know that the store that I worked for, we were told we had to process it. I would call all the other gun stores in the area and tell them what was going on, not to accept it. And so I ended up having to call about 3 to 4 gun stores every time we have that issue.
Almost every day?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to say?
I probably shouldn't.
Okay. Thank you for sharing. We appreciate your honesty and willingness. And we'll get this out and let the word get out to folks. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right, man. So there you have it. How does that happen, right? How do people get these things? So yeah, they're running games all the time to get them. But you see our process is stopping a lot of it. And you see, she also said that she called around and warned other stores about people who are trying to purchase firearms illegally, right? Or with bad IDs or not following the rules, right? People that had to go on that do not sell list. So, I mean, it seems like that's working. And if she didn't have a corrupt, or I don't know what's up with her boss, but if she was allowed to stick by those rules, then, you know, some of those people wouldn't have gotten their hands on things. And let me see if I want to play this one next or not. I think I do. Let's let me, where are we at? 21 on the hour. Okay. I'll try to keep these to about 3 hours. Okay. So, I definitely want to cover that one about the immigration issue. Okay. So this one's going to look like it's long, but we're not going to go that long into it. I just want to get to the point where he's showing off some of the stuff that gang members are able to get, and just to let you know that there are people that are out there in law enforcement that are doing good work. I'm gonna play this one, probably like just about 10 minutes of it. All right, hold on, just about 10 minutes of it. And of course, I do this at 1.25 speed, so it's not even 10 minutes of it, so it's like less than that. It's a press conference coming out of Florida, Tampa Bay area. Grady Judd agency nabs 144 gang members, seizes 144 weapons in violent gang investigation, right? And what comes out of this actually is that you know, they're actually able to do good work down there and stopping these. And that what we're finding is a lot of this gang violence. We cover like gang stuff on the channel on Old School Watch Party Sundays. I have a series amongst many series on that show. We watch a documentary and a movie every Sunday. And the documentaries, serious stuff, the movies are like usually comedies and fun old movies that we all remembered. We've done Cannonball Run, we've done Fast Times at Ridgemont High, we've done like 50 plus movies on that. So we've had a lot, like I think it's 50 plus, I don't know, but we've done a ton. I know we've done a ton to the point where I'm like, okay, what are we gonna do next? But one of the series that we do is how crime works, how US gangs work, or how gangs work. We're doing a series right now. We're doing a 2-parter on drug cartels and the real narcos. It's really good. So tune in this Sunday to see part 2 of that. I found this interesting. I wanted to get you guys to see part of this and just to see some of the weapons they got their hands on, right? And this kind of ties into the whole, like, well, how did this guy Ryan Ruth go to Florida and end up with these guns? You'll hear a lot of stuff. We're going to talk about that very next. We're going to talk about the Ryan Ruth stuff and some of the things coming out with that. And then we'll wrap up with a little bit of what's going on in New York City. But I want to make sure I kind of include that. I just thought this was interesting. Good night, Memento. Have a great night, man. Thank you for being here. I just wanted you guys to see a little bit of this. And I think you'll find it interesting.
Hey. I'm going to give you a 30,000 foot overview of the work that we have been doing for a very long time. And then as you have specific questions, I have Detective Hermelbrock here. He was one of the detectives that brought all of these cases together, a lot of these cases together. There's 2 or 3 different operations. And he'll be able to drill down a little bit and get
all his gang members right here. Operation Drive-By-Buy. These are people that are involved in drive-by shootings, gang violence, and so on in the Tampa Bay area. They've been able to arrest through this program. So there are law enforcement out there doing really, really great work. And Sheriff Grady is one of them. And I'm sorry, Sheriff Grady Judd is one of them. He has these press conferences often. He talks to the people. He lets them know what's going on. He calls the people his bosses. So he basically says, I'm going to talk to my bosses. And he's one of the good guys, man. You want a sheriff like that in every town. What's your name means? Okay, T3, communication intercept. I thought that was funny when I heard it the first time. I did it a little bit.
Now let's progress. In 2022, we jumped to 63 drive-bys and gang shooting. And in that year, Ira Footman was killed. Okay, I'm sorry. Ira Footman was killed in this car. Darren Outsey was killed in Haines City. There was an arrest made in the murder of Outsey. And of course, we made the arrest of Footman. Footman was shot up in this particular car.
That's why another reason I wanted to bring up to my crowd, because they know about these things. But this switch here, I mean, I imagine if you, even with an extended clip, it would like you drain that gun like quick. Like it's gone. Would have got like 15 bullets in there or something? I don't know. But anyways, yeah. So in terms of like, they say, well, how did this guy Ryan Ruth get go to Florida where he doesn't live, right, and manage to get his hand on weapons like this? If these kids can get it, so could he, right? Like maybe he just has to reach out to the right person to get it. So I wanted to bring this up in that vein of investigation, and that, you know, if these guys are running around there with these type of weapons, and he can maybe know somebody, or you know, knows about it, he could probably run to the same people and get the same kind of weapons. So you guys tell me about the switch on that. So Ryan Ruth, a couple things too. One, let's talk about the it's new to me, new to you. Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I hadn't heard about it either. Couple of things, right? In that vein, there's a lot of course, there's a lot of people out there. There's some people out there that is every time, and I'm tired of mentioning the names, but every time anything happens, their response is, it's a CIA inside job. Constantly, it's like a broken freaking record. Without even thinking, it's just put it out there as fast as possible, and it just gets annoying as hell. And then other people latch onto it, and they create these conspiracy groups that I don't think go anywhere and don't do us any favors. It's okay to have an idea or something, but try to back it up with some proof besides just say, I know everything kind of proof. Like, I don't think that works. Again, I'm going to tell you, I think from my, let me get rid of this screen over here. Stop this. From the stream that I did, with all of the tweets, here, just I'm going to pull it up. We're not going to play it, but I just want to show you the stream that I did here, right? With all of these tweets we went through of his, like we went through every single one of them, right? And in here, you can kind of like see how much effort he's putting into turning this into a world conflict, right? And he's also mentioned several times in here that he wants to see Putin off, and he wants to see Moscow in rubble, right? And so everybody's running with the violent rhetoric, which is good, because we need to talk about the violent rhetoric, right? I believe this guy's problem is that he saw Russia as the epitome of evil, Putin as the epitome of evil, which again is part of that narrative, right? They push with the Russia collusion hoax, right? And they always push about Russia, the boogeyman, right? And this guy is literally trying to involve Afghan soldiers, all kinds of different soldiers from around the world to come fight against Russia and Ukraine. Trump was going to end the war and Ukraine conflict, Russia conflict, right? He's been promising, I'll do it in day one. I'll make a phone call. It'll be over, right? Because he knows what he needs to say to end it. And it's not necessarily being a strong, you know, like putting that kind of pressure on him, but also like understanding the nature of the conflicts just from having studied it and so on. Look at some of this stuff, some of these replies he's getting, like, okay, yeah, I'm all over here. I'll come fight for you. Sure. Get me out of here. So this guy really wanted World War III is what he wanted, right? This is my take on it. But if you look at what he's trying to do throughout years of work, right? he's getting ready to see it all be undone by Trump if he gets in. And so at this point, after he's dedicated so much time and energy and everything to believing that he's fighting the epitome of evil, right? And this is like the narrative he's been boxed into, the information mind control that's going on. Hey, angry conservative, how you doing, man? How you doing? He's been boxed into. This is like where he's at right now, and he's put all this effort into wanting to be part of it, and he can't be part of it. So that, you know, his best way of going about it. And by the way, guys, he never was part of the Ukraine Legion or whatever. He just took on all this stuff himself. You're going to hear people out there saying that the CIA hired him and stuff. He was doing all this on his own. He was doing all of it on his own. He didn't have any CIA backing or anything like that. That's not that it's apparent. If he did, it's kind of weird. But you can see him in all these videos and all these pictures. He's by himself for the most part. And I did show that video, that interview with the lady that went there to Ukraine and then turned him into the Fed, saying this guy's wacko. And she said that he constantly talked about when to off all kinds of world leaders that were trying to prevent this war from going through. And he also contacted Elon Musk to try to get a rocket, which is stupid. Here we go, right here. Exactly. We do not stop until Putin is dead and Moscow is a pile of rubble. I am in Ukraine and not leaving until Moscow is gone. We need another 1,400 nuclear warheads that were removed 30 years ago. You see what he's saying right here? Yeah, the Ukrainians didn't even want him, right? The lady, the nurse, hey, Andrea Diet, how you doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. My bass rumbler over there. Thank you for coming by and hanging out. Jacob's out there somewhere in the crowd too. That's where I met you, over at Jacob's channel. Yeah, see, this is what I'm saying right here at the, like, can you see my cursor? Right here at the bottom, right here. In his own words. This is just one of the times he said it, but this is his mindset. And I really believe that he saw after the polls came out and after the debates, he really believed that, you know, there's no stopping Trump. But if Trump got in, his mission, which was, we do not stop until Putin is dead and Moscow is a pile of rubble. I am in Ukraine and not leaving until Moscow is gone. He's not just Putin, but the entirety of Russia, their capital, right? The people that live there, Russians in general. He sees them all as evil, right? He's back in the Cold War. He's back in the Soviet Union in his mind. Very deranged dude, right? Who knows? Maybe he's deranged from having too many of those jabby jabs, you know? And but he's lost his mind and he's over there and he sees Trump is going to be the one that's going to end this without him getting his desired outcome. And I believe that what we're going to find, and I think he'll say it in his own words eventually, if he's allowed to speak, is that this is why he went after Trump. People are going to say, well, the CIA hired him, they trained him, he's a trained assassin. No, he wasn't. That's just crap. That's just trying to get clicks and views, I guess, or just a lack of understanding or a lack of research. I've seen people saying that. I really disagree with it. If they're right, they turn out to be right, I'll come on here and tell you that they were right and I was wrong. But I really do believe this is the reason why he did it, is that Trump was going to end the conflict and it wasn't going to be the way he wanted to. And after years of effort, and this is in 2022, he's saying this is 2024 now. Years of effort. That's 2 more years of daily in and out grinding, thinking about going to sleep, waking up, thinking about the same thing. Life for this guy. You know, think about how many days and hours that is, right? Put it into perspective, right? He wants to nuke the place. He wants to flatten the place. He wants Putin dead. He wants Moscow and all the people in it gone, right? And he's not going to stop until it happens. He goes, this has to happen in his mind because it's a fundamental fight between good and evil. I believe that this is exactly why he did what he did. And I think that we're going to find that out. And I think that he will say it in his own words, probably in court or something like that, if we're privileged enough to be able to hear it. I think that somehow, this is going to come out to be the reason why he did it. And he acted on his own because he's been acting on his own the entire time, trying to recruit anybody from around the world to become part of this thing, trying to get music artists to play a stupid song about it. He contacted everybody, Dave Matthews Band, Bruno Mars, all kinds of other people. Like, you could do it. We can get kids to sing along too. Hey, Nacho Kitty, what's up? How you doing? All kinds of cool folks rolling in here. Good to see you. Good to see you. So happy that you're here. I think that this, again, that's my take, is that this guy had it out. He said this is the only way it could happen. He's at the end of he's at the latter years of his life. He's dedicated almost 4 years at this point, up to 2024 maybe or before. And this is what he does day in and day out. Like he's acting on his own in all these instances, right? You see him here. You don't see a crowd of people. It's just him. Someone took a picture of him, but like maybe that he had one person working with him. I don't know. But throughout his entire thing, I mean, he went and stood in front of Angelina Jolie's. He did this right here. World help us. World help us. You know, I mean, and they, like I said, they didn't want anything to do with him. They said he's too old and inexperienced to fight in the war. So he goes, well, I'm just going to recruit them because like I have to do my part. This is the fundamental fight between good and evil in his mind, right? All through this. I mean, I documented each and every one of his tweets here in this video. A second tip on Trump's life, Ryan Ruth profile of Russian hoax mind control. Russia hoax mind control. I had to shorten it because of you only get so many characters in the title. But throughout this whole thing, he's saying the same thing. In his videos, he's saying the same thing in so many words. He's trying to be more eloquent, right? This is a very angry person. And this is a very determined person. So you can see as we move along here, same thing over and over and over again. Listen, right here, again. Never. Let's see. Let's see what he said. A Ukrainian friend of mine says, and what happens if Putin just pulls his troops back to where they were on February 24th, saying to Russians he had reached his goal? He may push this idea through media. What will the West do? Russia will leave us with hundreds of billions of damage. Ryan says, never. Capital letters. We are not done until Putin is dead and Moscow is a pile of rubble. I am not leaving until I stand on Moscow rubble. Like who stands in the way of that? Trump. Trump does. Right? I think he just reached his breaking point after years of this stuff. This is in 2022. Years of this stuff. And then all of a sudden Trump comes back and runs for president and says, I will, and he said it at that, and this happened after the debates, right? He said it at the debate definitively. I will on day one. In fact, before I even take office, it'll be done. I will make a phone call. It will be over. Right? He can't make that phone call until he's in. So this guy was like, oh, that's it. I'm not taking this. I'm done. Right? So he makes a plan and he follows through. And well, and luckily he didn't follow all the way through, but he went and committed himself to doing it. And again, I don't think that anybody spun him up or promised him anything or whatnot. I really feel like this guy was determined to reach this goal and to make that conflict into World War III with he believes the outcome being that Russia would have been completely a pile of rubble with the evil Putin did. Again, I just want to put that on record again as saying it. I think I'm the only person out there saying it. I haven't heard anybody else get this take yet. And of course, I'm not going to be able to reach the masses. I don't have the reach or the ability to do that. But a lot of the bigger name channels are going with a different narrative on this. There's one big channel like says it's a CIA inside job, and there's a lot of other ones that are going with the violent rhetoric of the left. And I'm okay with the violent rhetoric of the left because it needs to be exposed. So that's cool too. But I think we're going to find out in the end that Ryan is going to tell us ourselves exactly why he did it, because he wants the people to know. He wants them to know because he's still in his mind on this mission, and that's not going to change. So he seems pretty fruity. I doubt he would help and I doubt he could help an agency or be trusted, right? I don't think that they would have tried to do that. And if they would have, they probably would have set him up better and say, I think he got his hands on what he could get his hands on. And he went there they probably wouldn't have told him to film it. 1, 2, they probably wouldn't have told him to stick a muzzle through a fence hole because I've heard from plenty of other experts on that that would have been a bad move. Like you can't get that much range out of that. And that it would, I don't know, just it's not a good position to shoot from, I guess. But I know that's just some of the stuff I've heard from other people commenting on it. However, I just want to put it out there that I believe that this is why he did it. And I'll bring that back down there. Okay. And if you guys need or want to go through all those tweets yourself, just check out that video. It's out there. I put every single one on screen and recorded it, so we have it. All right. So that's about that guy. Now the other thing is this too, which come out today, is talking about the attacks at rallies, right? Well, the bomb threat turned out to be a hoax, right? So that turned out to be a hoax. I think that they're just trying to disrupt and discourage people from going to rallies. Like just people out there that are trying to do that for sure. And there's also people that are just trolls, right? But I think that, the more calculated people, the more people that are more deranged by their information-based mind control of the establishment, that they're more likely to do these kind of cowardly things and try to keep people from going out there and making up their own minds, right? They're scared of the message. So that's why they're doing it. Now, this other report came out recently that that there was a some kind of chemical attack at a rally, and a certain group of people in a certain part of the rally left and had like reactions, right? And I'm not going to bring up anybody's take on this. I'm just going to talk about it because Shelly and myself kind of went over it when we heard about it, and we were listening to the symptoms. I mean, we did our research together, right? And here's my take on it. I think what happened was that someone's pepper spray got loose, like within that little range, maybe a little squirt in the purse or something like that, or something. We don't know, have enough information about to blame it. Of course, one person came out right away and said, "This sounds like a CIA inside job," and I'm like, I mean, it's such a broken record. I'm so sick of hearing about CIA inside jobs, man. I really am. I mean, it's like, let's just get the evidence. We've learned from the July 13th and other things that we go over here that you can walk these things in, right? You don't have to jump to conclusions. You don't have to jump the shark. I mean, it's just ridiculous. And I think the people that do that are caught up in the old way of doing things. Maybe they just think they need to rush to market. And it doesn't matter if you have the whole story, we'll figure out later, but I'll put the sensational shit out there so everybody clicks into it. I don't think that's the way to do things. And I don't think that it's very honest. And I think it is just another version of mainstream media if you really take a hard look at it. However, I will say that from the symptoms and what they had afterwards, all of the extreme versions of chemical warfare, there was many definite symptoms they didn't express. They didn't have the nausea. They didn't have some of the other more dire things of like ricin exposure, other types of more sadistic types of chemical attacks. It seemed like pepper spray reaction. It seemed like a reaction to pepper spray. I'm just going to put that out there as my take on it. I don't have any evidence, and there is no evidence about what it is right now at all. All right, there's just the story. There's just the story that's out there. So I'll put it down as that, just going basically on the symptoms and the small affected group. Right, it was just a small group that was all near each other. So if someone had a bag or some pepper spray or something like that may have, of course, I don't know if you can even bring pepper spray in a rally, but we don't know that they were in the rally when this happened, because they said it happened on the way home. So maybe on the way home that they picked up some stuff. I don't know. It's really strange. It's really strange that it was a small group of people. And it's really strange that the symptoms happened after the rally, right? It was a Martian attack. Well, there you go. That's right. I didn't consider that. I've heard speculation that he is an informant of a three-letter agency. Yeah, I don't believe that, Nacho. That's kind of why I just went through what I did. Was like, there's a lot of people that are going to come out with this take, right? And what I've said is like, and then I've also heard like, oh, he's an MK Ultra assassin, right? I mean, dude, MK Ultra ended a long time ago, and what they learned out of that is it didn't need LSD and isolation and mind, flashing violent images at you to control your mind, when you have this beautiful technology and you control the media, right? And with this beautiful technology, you can silo people into a narrative, right? And if you realize that when you try to talk to somebody who's isn't really politically educated, like most of our old friends, right? And they're voting for the establishment over and over and over again. And they see the Democrats as the good guys and the Republicans as the bad guys. A very vanilla, very kind of like low political IQ take on things, right? Not very in depth, very shallow look of things, very shallow perception of how the world works, right? And when you try to talk to them or give them new information about things to, maybe say, hey, you know what? They're not telling you the truth in the mainstream media. Their reactions to it, right? This belief system guardianship they have at this point, right? Where they're actually seeing you as a threat now to that belief system. Right? Information-based mind control is real. And Nacho, you've been with me since the beginning. You know what I've been talking about since the very beginning. Remember, we had Yuri every week. We talk about Yuri Bezmenov and ideological subversion. Have you heard we're going to get a temporary moon? No, tell me about it. That sounds interesting. I love those kind of stories. Temporary moon. All right. Is that the asteroid that went by on last Tuesday or something? Yeah, you remember that? We used to do it every week. We talk about it. And this is the beginning of that, that how the information-based mind control work. It's abuse. It's part of the cycle of abuse. The asteroid, yeah, it already passed by. I was reading about that the other day. It came within like 500,000 miles, unless it's a different asteroid. Well, I can't wait. I want to see another moon. That'd be fun. That'll be fun. When's that happening, guys? Fill me in. Throw me some links. We'll take a look at it right now. Yeah. Throw me some links. Throw me some links. You're all my mods. You can do that. Especially Nacho and Wolfram. You guys are the big time mods. Like, so yeah, those links out. So yeah, the three-letter agency, man, they've learned, one, they don't have MK Ultra anymore. If you want to see MK Ultra, go to a hippie music festival and take some acid, and you'll be at MK Ultra. There you go. They don't do that anymore. They've learned that all you have to do is box people into a narrative, feed them a false narrative, false belief system, and then trigger emotions with emotional response by using, like I said, the archetype method, right? Where you compare archetypes of evil to the person that you want them to hate, like they've done with Trump, right? And then they can do that. Well, they've done that with Putin too, right? They've done that with Putin, and they've done that with Russia, the Russian boogeyman, all that stuff, Russia collusion hoax, all that stuff. You notice that this guy voted for Trump in 2016, this Ryan guy, right? And immediately following, he backtracked on it because when it came out right after he was elected, the Russian collusion hoax, right? Oh, is it Planet X? I hope so. I hope so. Oops, I didn't know. No, I didn't. Okay. Thank you, Wolfram. Okay, I'm going to pull that up. I'm going to finish my bit about Ryan here, and I'll pull it up. Okay. Well, where'd you put it on? Did you send it to me in DMs, or did you send it to me on the front page? Let's see. I don't see it, Wolfram. I don't see it. Where did you put it? If it's on Discord, I don't see it. I'll look for it. Okay. So anyways, yeah, dude, look, okay, look, this is my proof for this. Okay, guys, this is my proof. Look at all of these people who just suddenly react and go crazy. Thomas Crooks, even down to school shootings and stuff like that, right? They're being controlled by the information and the culture of society in some cases, but they're literally just boxed into this narrative, and they don't see the light. The people that are under the first veil, under the establishment narrative, they don't see that the bars, they don't see the cage that they're in. Their mind does not see it. They see the narrative as the way the world is. People like us know this, right? We've escaped this narrative. We're outside the first veil. They are not. They completely see the world differently than us. That's mind control. I think people take the word mind control, and this is what I've tried to do since day one, right? Right, Nacho? Since day one. I've tried to get people to understand that mind control isn't some kind of sadistic little thing. It's easy to do because the brain, the human brain OS, has exploits in it. You can exploit it, right? Because our base operating system is images, right? So you can exploit that by blending images together, overriding archetypes. So if you have an impression of Donald Trump from pre-2016, good guy, billionaire, happy-go-lucky guy, everybody loves him. He's got the hair, he's got the way he talks, and everybody thinks it's cool, right? And then as soon as he becomes an enemy of the state, right, they start blending him in with Hitler. They start blending him in with Stalin. They start blending him in with all the bad archetypes that we learned throughout our life, that these people have done evil things and people have died because of their leadership, right? Because they've been in charge, right? And so you start blending, you start merging it, and you do it repetitiously, day after day after day after day. And they're boxed into that narrative. They ain't going outside of CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, whatever, right? They're just blended in. They keep hearing the Hillary Clinton talking points. They keep hearing the Nancy Pelosi talking points. They keep hearing the Barack Obama talking points. They keep hearing the establishment talking points day in and day out, even if it's a little blip, even if it's a headline. Right? It's all there. And so it just works on them, and it eventually overwrites their idea who this person is. That's why you have people that are so violently, they violently react when they even hear the word Trump or they hear him talk. I know people that say, I can't stand to look at him. I can't stand to listen to him. How are you going to understand the man if you can't look at him and listen to him? Right? They're totally boxed out of the rest of the world, and they don't see it. That's mind control. It's that easy. It's that easy. That's why I warn people on our sides about being sensationalists and acting like the establishment media. You're doing the same thing to people when you make them think that everything that happens is a three-letter agency inside job. I mean, it's another form of doing that. I don't know whether people know they're doing that or not, or that they've just been brought up in that world and they haven't realized that's the way information-based mind control works. Yuri laid it out perfectly, right? And then I explained that the way that works is it's a generational cycle, right? Normalization doesn't necessarily mean these days that tanks are driving down the street. It means that policies are implemented that change and slowly transform the world that we're living in without us even realizing it, right? We don't need tanks to take over our country anymore. We have politicians and deep states and rules, and we can slowly subvert the Constitution, right? Parallel construction, right, is going up around us for this Agenda 2030 and other things that are literally spelled out for us on their website. I mean, it's not a conspiracy, it's an open conspiracy. I mean, it is a conspiracy, but it's not a secret conspiracy. It's an open conspiracy. It's right there. We can all look at it, research it, smell it, taste it, and see it slowly become normalized while we fight over fucking bullshit, right? While we fight over the stupidest things, right? And we don't come to reasonable conclusions, and we're divided by race and color and lifestyle and sex and gender and all that other stuff, right? All these really weird cultural things we're fighting over and divided by. Meanwhile, the walls are closing in once again from a different angle. And if we don't do something about it, we don't snap out of it, we don't change our ways, we'll wake up one day in a completely transformed country. They're like, you know what? We're going to listen to the world government now. We're not going to listen to the Constitution. We don't need this Constitution. In fact, most of their laws kind of overwrite the Constitution. Now, we'll let you believe you have it, right? But we're still going to come knocking on your door when you say something online. We're still going to come knocking on your door or lower your ability to do something with technology, social credit scores or digital currency or things that you've just slowly we've manufactured your consent. You've let us in. You've let us change your world around you, right? While you're still just worry about, which race is supreme or whatever. Like worry about these things that, how many genders there are. You're not calling me by the name I want to be called or some bullshit like that. Right. Meanwhile, we're just fundamentally changing your rights to travel, the rights to ownership, the value of your currency, what you can afford to buy. Oh, it's about equity. It's about inclusion. It's about all these other things, right? While we're fighting about that, they're putting up a new cage around us that's optimized, right? That we've never seen before, and it will trap us in here to a point where we can't escape, and it'll look like nothing, like there's no light coming at all. But this people may act out thinking there will be heroes to left. Yes, Nacho, I totally agree with that. That's another type of mind control that goes on, right? The martyr mind control. Like someone's got to do it. I feel inspired to do it. I have a purpose in life now. I didn't have a purpose before, but now I do. For years they feel like they have no purpose, but now they feel a divine inspiration for some reason to go and carry these things out. I believe that this is the case with this guy, Ryan Ruth, and I believe it's the case with Crooks as well. I think that both of them had this hero complex, this martyr complex, and that's part of it. So where did they get that from, right? What was missing in their lives that made them go to this point? Well, that's where it gets interesting. Like, what's their psychology? Why was it able to set them off and it doesn't set the average person off? They probably paid more attention to it, right? But they also had the right circumstances that made them the perfect Manchurian candidate without anybody ever having to lay hands on them, without anybody ever having to contact them. See, they figured this stuff out, like that this is the way it can work now. That's why they don't need MK Ultra and shit. They got the mainstream media. They got information-based mind control, right? And there's enough trauma and crime in this world that people will get harmed and injured during their earliest years, their developmental years, right? And then this information, this subversion comes in that boxes them into this narrative and makes them see the world a certain way, and it just keeps working and working. And what it does is it slowly filters that people out until it finds the loose cannons, and then the loose cannons go off, right? So they just have to sit back and wait. That keeps their hands nice and clean too, doesn't it? And it lets them do other things with their time and resources. They think that you find some weirdo dude over there who's obsessed with destroying Russia, and then you're gonna take him into your secret deep state, and you're going to train him to do something. The guy wasn't trained. He wasn't trained at all. He was just an idiot who thinks he was trained. He thought he was a soldier. He thinks he had a higher calling in life. He didn't need to do anything except for let him go. And if he showed up and tried to do something, he did. If he didn't, okay. But right now at this time, this is where people get desperate, because they're saying, okay, well, the election's almost here, right? And here's this guy that wants to come in and, according to the establishment, is going to be a dictator, or he's going to come in and he's going to do things that they don't want him to do, like end the war. that they want to see go through, you know, and they'll activate. They'll activate on their own. They'll go out and do it. That's the way the new mind control works. I think it's pretty simple. That's my take on it. People can certainly try to poke holes in that theory, and I will totally listen. I love trying to do the smoke test and try to see if I can stand up to different takes. Man, most of the time people don't. It's just, you know what, that makes sense. I'll look into it. Just look into it. I got tons of content out there where I've talked about this in depth on many topics that they all lead to things. When I'm covering topics, they're all explaining this entire thing I'm talking about right now, piece by piece. And I give examples of it, right? Whether I'm talking about conspiracy grifters, I'm talking about, psychology, how that's changed over time, how it's been implemented into our lives, whatever it is, right? It's all out there. And I walk it through. I have this board called the Veils of Perception board. I won't bring it up right now. You guys have all seen it, but that's what the board's about too. It's about showing you how these veils of perception work and how the cycle of abuse enables the cycle of control, right? They know that with a broken society, generationally speaking, that they'll rule over us forever, right? And we'll never be able to do anything about it until we stop and remove the enablement for that cycle of abuse and remove the enablement for the cycle of control. We break the gears. We grind the gears to a halt, as has been said. Some people naturally question everything, and some people don't want to be bothered. That's absolutely true, Nacho. Absolutely true. Where's this link to the asteroid? I'm waiting for it. Who's got it? Where's it at? Send it to me, man. Send it to me. Where's it at? Wolfram, I don't have anything from you on I don't have anything for you on Discord. Where's it at? I want to talk about this asteroid. I want to talk about the new moon. Where's the new moon stuff? Someone throw me a link, please. Please. Let's go. We got time. We can do this. Let's talk about new asteroids and new moons and stuff. But anyways, that's my take on the Ryan, the 2024 channel. What channel is that? I just need a link. Just throw me a link. The new moon link is thank you. Thanks, man. Oh, you guys rock. Thank you so much. Oh man, you're even more organized than me right there. I'm like, what are you doing? All right, let's go. NASA space news. Please don't copyright me for this, NASA. Damn it. All right. NASA space news. I'm excited. Of course, this is about the time when you have James come swinging in a chandelier and tell me that NASA's fake. All right, let's go.
Earth is about to have a new visitor in its cosmic neighborhood, but this isn't a typical flyby. Imagine a small rock, roughly the size of a house, hitching a ride around Earth for a couple of months before waving goodbye and continuing its journey around the sun.
I'm excited.
This is the story of 2024 PT5, a small asteroid set to become a
Can we give it a better name than that?
temporary mini moon of Earth
Mini
for about
moon.
53 days.
That's what I want to call it, mini moon.
Starting from the end of September 2024. In this video, we will explore what makes this mini moon so special, delve into the science behind its temporary capture by Earth, examine the implications of such events for planetary defense, and look at what we can learn from studying these fleeting cosmic visitors.
Oh, we're gonna be able to see it. Like when they say mini moon, we're gonna be able to see this shit, right? It's the size of a house. I imagine it couldn't be that hard. I mean, it might be hard to see.
Discovered in August 2024 by the Asteroid Terrestrial Impact Last Alert System, ATLAS, 2024 PT5 is a small asteroid about 10 meters in diameter that was identified as a potential mini-moon for Earth. ATLAS is a state-of-the-art automated system designed to detect asteroids that might threaten our planet. Its rapid detection allows astronomers to quickly calculate an asteroid's path and assess its potential risks. In the case of 2024 PT5, the analysis revealed both surprising and reassuring news that this small asteroid is not on a collision course with Earth. Instead,
It wants to be
it
friends.
will briefly be captured by Earth's gravity, becoming a temporary mini-moon. What
Mini-moon.
makes it particularly interesting is its size and trajectory. At just 10 meters across, it is relatively tiny compared to the larger asteroids that often make headlines. However, it is precisely this small size that makes it more susceptible to being captured by Earth's gravity temporarily.
Nice.
Unlike the larger asteroids that pass by Earth at high speeds and continue their orbits around the sun, smaller objects like this one can be caught in a gravitational tug of war. This tug of war results in a temporary capture, creating what is often referred to as a mini-moon.
That's what they all say.
This asteroid likely hails from the Arjuna asteroid group, which consists of small asteroids with orbits around the sun that are very similar to Earth's.
Small state or
These
something.
asteroids, due to their proximity and orbital patterns, are more likely to be caught in Earth's gravitational pull. Scientists have determined that 2024 PT5 is a natural object rather than space debris, which is significant because it means its trajectory is not influenced by the forces that affect artificial objects in space, such as solar radiation pressure or atmospheric drag. This natural orbit makes it a perfect candidate for a temporary mini-moon. Understanding the nature of 2024 PT5 is crucial for several reasons. First, it offers a rare opportunity to closely study a near-Earth object, even if only for a short period. Second, events like this serve as valuable test cases for improving our asteroid detection and tracking systems. When we talk about Earth capturing an asteroid, we are really talking about a delicate balance of forces, specifically the gravitational pulls of the Earth and the Moon, combined with the velocity of the asteroid itself.
Details.
For this mini-moon, the conditions are just right for it to be captured by Earth's gravity for a short period, making one complete orbit around the planet over 53 days. When an asteroid like this one approaches Earth, it enters a region of space where our planet's gravitational pull starts to dominate over the sun's. If the asteroid's speed and trajectory align perfectly, it can enter a temporary orbit around Earth. However, unlike our permanent moon, which is locked in a stable orbit, these mini-moons are often in highly elliptical orbits, and their stay is fleeting.
So we've had these before. I hope we can see it.
2024 PT5. The current predictions suggest that it will be captured by Earth's gravity at the end of September 2024, make a single loop around our planet, and then slingshot back into its orbit around the sun by mid-November.
Oh, where's Grimspar when you need him? He can do all this math in his head. Previous mini-moons.
The phenomenon of mini-moons, while relatively rare, has been observed a few times, each instance providing unique insights into the nature of small near-Earth objects and their interactions with our planet's gravity. One of the most well-documented cases was 2006 RH120, a small asteroid that orbited Earth from 2006 to 2007. This mini-moon was about 3 to 6 meters in diameter and stayed within Earth's gravitational sphere of influence for about a year. It was a significant event because it was one of the first times astronomers could track such a small object's orbit in real time, giving
Does anybody remember this or remember seeing it at all?
them an unprecedented view of the dynamics at play. Another notable example is 2020 CD3, which was discovered in 2018 and remained in orbit around Earth until 2020. This mini-moon was slightly larger than the 2006 RH120, estimated to be about 1 to 2 meters in diameter. Its capture provided valuable data that helped refine models of how small objects interact with Earth's gravity. These past instances of mini-moons have contributed significantly to our understanding of
I love the picture here. It looks like there's a bit, we're in the middle of an asteroid field.
Earth objects. They have shown that Earth's gravity can temporarily capture small asteroids, causing them to orbit for a brief period before continuing their journey around the sun.
Explain that.
This process is crucial for understanding the potential risks associated with near-Earth objects, as it highlights the dynamic nature of these small bodies and their potential to come closer to Earth than initially predicted. Moreover,
it's like the asteroid field from Star Wars right here.
These studies offer a glimpse into the possibilities for future exploration and utilization of near-Earth objects. Mini-moons like 2024 PT5 provide a unique opportunity for future space missions to study these small bodies up close, offering insights into their composition, structure, and potential resources. Understanding mini-moons better could also help plan missions aimed at mining asteroids for valuable materials, or even developing new technologies for asteroid deflection and planetary defense. Thank you for watching. As we continue to explore and study these fleeting visitors, we unlock new mysteries about our cosmic nature.
That's great. Okay, enough of that. All right, so I don't know if we're gonna be able to see it or not, but I'm looking forward to mini-moon. I was hoping there'd be like another one just kind of hanging out next to the other moon, and we could have like 2 moons in the sky. That'd be so cool. Think you'll need a telescope? Oh man, I got something cool for you guys. Hold on. Since we're in the space stuff right now, let's see if I can find it real quick. Someone got, I don't know if you see this, but a news helicopter got Saturn's rings the other night. Let me go to my history real quick. It's a really quick video. I go through so much content, like just looking for content and capturing it for all 4 to 5. I do 5 shows a week. For all 5 shows a week I do, I'm constantly putting together playlists that go with the shows, and I'm always finding these things. But man, this one I thought was really cool. Speaking of telescopes, so you made me think of it. You know what? I think I saved that for Saturday night. I think I put it on my cool videos list. Hold on. Let me see. I'll have to show it to that crowd too that night. So, but where's he? That's funny videos. I need to rename this funny and cool videos because now it's expanded to funny and cool videos, which I have for you guys. Nope, I didn't. Hold on. Sort it. Newest. Go. There we go. Okay. Scroll. Get drunk. Nope. Okay, so it is under my history. Damn it. Or my watch later. Let me see if I put it on watch later. I'll tell you what. I'm gonna. No, I can't do that. Let's see. Can't do it that way. Massive. Let's see. Most powerful. Let's see. Okay, I gotta go to the history to find it. Man, it's so cool looking though. It is really cool looking because the guy was taking a shot of the moon from a helicopter and he noticed something in the distance. Yeah, I like him. I like Anton. He's cool. He's cool. I'd be into telescope, except the worst sky gazing place is on Earth. I live right next to. So I'm not surprised to learn that Jupiter, Neptune, and Uranus also have rings, but they're very faint. Yep, they do. And I actually had another piece about the Jeff Ostrov doing the videos of the Titan sub debris recovery. Did you guys know that they recovered the Titan sub? They found it, and it was actually the same people that launched it found it, but they weren't expecting to find it. They kind of just came across it. No, not that. Let's see. Oh my god, this lady's face. Have you guys seen the lady with the cartoon face? Like she did too much plastic surgery, too much Botox, and her face looks like she's wearing a mask. It's the craziest thing, dude. Oh, I found it. I found it. Okay, this is real. This is like 46 seconds, really. Hold on. Since we're on to talking about astrology right now, I mean astronomy. Let me pull this up here. Stop that. Nope. Stop. Present. Here we go. Watch this. This is very cool. This is very cool. In fact, that's so cool. I'm going to get down here in the corner so you could watch this.
How about that? Hey, this is just a little bit ago. We remember you were showing you the moon, but check this out. Wow. That there is the actual planet of Saturn with the rings as well from Sky 5.
What?
Sky 5 HD was up above.
That is incredible.
Gil Levis. So Gil was saying that he was looking at the moon and he saw something twinkling in the distance and he zoomed in on it and could not believe his darn eyes there, where indeed you are seeing Sky 5. Check out the rings of Saturn.
Great.
I have never seen anything
Isn't
like
that cool?
before.
So amazing.
It's
Oh,
so
my
cool.
goodness.
So that's the whole weather report back to you guys.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
I thought you guys would enjoy that. Cool, man. Let's see. Decent pair of binoculars, you can see Saturn rings. I've never tried. I think it's really cool though. So I saw that and I was like, man, you guys would love to see that. So I saved it. Where is my playlist? This one? Oh, here we go. Let's go back to it. Find it. Nope. The guy's weird. All right, hold on. I got one more for you, as I promised. I got a little bit off track. The guy's voice is getting in my head. All right, here we go. You wrap this up. Hey, there's Shelly. Here we go. Playlist. All right. So, did you guys know? And this is the last part of the last one I have for the night. And I said like the Titan sub stuff I wanted to go over, but it's a little bit long. And I mean, we could go over it if you guys want to hang out for a minute. I know Wolfram has to go to bed soon, so it's kind of I usually try to keep it to like 3 hours, but I can go 3.5. If you guys want to go do the Titan sub stuff, we can do that. So a little bit off base, but I do want to make sure that I include this because I keep saying I'm going to include it and I'm not able to do it for time or something like that. This is just real quick. We won't watch the whole thing, but I will just get to the point of the matter with this. I want to make sure you're aware of this, that again, our tax money and how it's being spent, right? And I can't believe Trump didn't bring this up when he was in New York. He should have. Maybe he didn't know about it, but oh, you saw the Scott? You saw that? Okay, cool. You know, like Jeff Oster's analysis. But yeah, check this out. New York City starts paying migrants $4,000 to leave. $4,000, right? Or just here you go. Oh, okay, I'll take the money, and then you come back and be like, wait, weren't you here before? No, that was my brother.
The New York City Department of Homeless Services is offering up to $4,000 to migrant families with children and pregnant women who are currently residing in a city shelter. It's called the Asylum.
So after spending $5 billion caring for asylum seekers, New York has realized it's got a huge problem because the 65,000 people it's housing don't have enough money to move out of its shelters and live on their own, which is why the city's now going to pay them $4,000 each to leave.
Long nights with loud music, kids playing outside, and garbage around the neighborhood. It all started when the once 128-room Wyndham Hotel was turned into a New York City migrant shelter.
I have a lot of loud music. I have big speakers over there in the corner.
Enough is enough. Please do not renew that lease and give us back our community.
All right, the new pilot program from the city awarding up to $4,000 grants to migrant families who exit the shelter system and find their own housing.
The one-time grant only to be used for first and last month's rent, security deposits, moving expenses, and household supplies.
Our mayor is a slumlord.
City council members and immigration advocates blasting Mayor Eric Adams and his administration for implementing a policy that evicts migrant families with children after 60 days.
We've done 150 families. I think we've had one person from a family, not even the whole family, come back. So that is, in my mind, a very strong success rate.
We're not against migrants, however, we're against spending public funding to host them, to give them out like monthly stipends.
So New York City has decided that it might be cheaper to pay people to leave than to pay for them to stay. But what everyone's missing about this plan, paying people to move, is it's happening after we've already spent billions on shelters, which were supposed to be temporary and were supposed to help people move out and live on their own. But since that's not happening, it makes it look like the asylum crisis has backfired on our city in a way none of our leaders expected. Because although over 200,000 people seeking asylum and a better life were welcomed into our shelters, many are still there over a year after first moving in, revealing the better life everyone's looking for doesn't exist in America's most expensive city. And that's true for most people, not just asylum seekers. Because although from the beginning of this crisis, a plan existed to move everyone into expensive former luxury hotels or massive controversial tent shelters, which somehow cost just as much as the hotels to run, the very people who fled poverty and are now in our care are not getting the help they need to move up New York City's highly specialized, service-based economic ladder. Which doesn't make sense because many an economic expert has preached sermon after sermon about how the asylum crisis was going to be the best thing ever for everyone involved. Yet it turns out that's been a false prophecy, a heresy, because no plan ever existed to get people into the workforce so they could live on their own. And that brings us to the real reason why New York City is now paying people to get on a bus like that and leave town. Our shelter system has been turning vulnerable people into economic prisoners who are trapped and can't leave. Because not only are there zero employers lining up at our shelters offering the jobs people will need, many asylum seekers spent whatever they had coming here believing in the promised existence of gainful employment and a shot at the American dream. And that's a problem because in order for people to move out of these shelters and live on their own, they're going to need to earn enough to do it. But since many aren't finding jobs, they're now in need of perpetual care from a city that never thought this crisis would double its homeless population in just 1 year. And here we are now paying asylum seekers to leave town. And if they refuse this generous offer from the city, our officials are prepared to send them away empty-handed.
Uh-oh. Better take the money and run.
So this plan to pay asylum seekers enough money so that they can move out of the shelter system, it's controversial for several reasons. First, the amount of money that the city's offering folks isn't enough for them to stay in many of the same neighborhoods where they are now living, which some people are upset about. Also, while this plan is taking place, new individuals are still arriving in New York City for the very first time who will need a shelter placement and then in a few weeks might also need to receive a check so that they have enough money to move out of that very same shelter, revealing that the asylum crisis here is far from over.
There we go. Hold on. Actually,
Services is offering up to $4,000 to migrant families with children and pregnant women who are currently residing in a city shelter. It's called the Asylum Move Out Assistance
we
Program.
just saw that. Okay. We're good. I think we get the idea here. It's kind of crazy, huh? Kind of crazy. But you have to go to that length, right? And so that after giving them everything else, now to leave and not come back. They didn't. Let's see. What do you want to bet that they want to ship them off to small towns and Republican voting areas? Right? I know. They could. What if they start paying them to do that and say, "Well, we'll pay you to go here." You know, that's kind of wild. I mean, it never stops. This whole thing is a mess from top to bottom. It's not humanitarian at all. It's very bad for our country, and we have to stop it. Exactly right. Yeah. Exactly. All right. So if we're gonna go for 3 hours and 30 tonight, it's 11:17. You guys want to watch the Titan sub thing, or do you want me to save it for Saturday night? I was gonna play it Saturday night. But if people here are interested in watching it, okay, cool, chaos. I can play it right now. Just let me know. I'm up for either one. I just like to follow up on things, and I did do a whole show about this, so I always have to come back around and make sure that I talk about as much as I can with it. Let's see, Dave. No, I don't want to play that one. Okay, let's do it. If I got Nacho Kitty in the house and she's willing to hang out for a while, we'll do it. We'll do it. So, all right, here we go, and we'll do this on 125. There we go. Jeff Alstra, great guy.
So let's take a look at this first video here. So this was probably taken right after they got to the bottom of the ocean floor. Now you can see some debris, those little black pieces there. That's probably from the Titan, and there it is coming into view. This is, you're looking at the aft portion of it. So this is the whole outside shell with all of the controls on it and everything. And I'll show you in a second where that is on the actual.
Is this surprising to anybody? Like when you see this, because remember when they were talking about like what happened that day, and everybody's doing the whole evaporation thing. They said the whole thing literally blew apart into so many pieces, but then you see this giant piece. Or were people thinking back then that, well, it cracked, but the people inside were liquefied or whatever?
Titan craft. So it's just amazing how eerie this must have been for them to discover this. It's like my heart would just fall through my stomach, and I would gasp, because you can see what this means, because they thought they were going down there to rescue them. Maybe they were just sitting on the bottom of the ocean floor. Well, it was on the bottom of the ocean floor, but it was in pieces. And then if you look up here, you can see.
Okay, so I see the date on the video here. It says 6/22/23. So they just released the footage. This section was unpressurized. Okay, so what is it? They're just releasing the footage. Is that what's going on here? Why we circled back to this when it's from the 23rd? I mean, from 2023. I thought this is like they just found it. I guess I didn't pay much attention to that. Wolfram, you seem to know what's going on.
This looks like another part of it up here. I don't know why they're not zooming in on it or getting closer to it. And this is the end of the first clip right here. So I don't know why in the world they didn't.
Is that a shark in the background? Do you see like that? You see this over here? Some kind of fish or shark?
Why are they breaking it up into basically
a shark
long clip? So as you recall, here's one of those engineering drawings showing the glass fiber shell on the back end of it, the tail end. And there's what the OceanGate Titan submarine looked like in better times, with the OceanGate logo visible on it. Now I want to show you a much better 3D modeling rendering of the Titan sub. And I'll show you exactly where that is on the submersible. Now, if you remember the video I showed you last year showing you Amber's video from Asgad Industries, she does incredible 3D renderings. And here she shows you the outline of the whole Titan submersible. And there it is on that aft section, see, with the cage and all that. That's the part that we were looking at on the ocean bottom there. So she does an incredible job. Make sure you check the link in the video description below. That shows you her entire video. But you can see there, she pointed to exactly where it came from on that tail section. We'll analyze more of the underwater video in a minute. I just wanted to show you this. Here is the rover that discovered the Titan right there on the bottom of the ocean floor. This is called the Pelagic Odysseus 6K, or the 6000 ROV, remote controlled rover. And so they lower this unmanned thing into the water. And of course, there's the section of the Titan that was pulled off of the deck of the Polar Prince. So it's eerie to think that the Polar Prince originally, a few days ago, just brought these men out there for a good time to go down and dive the Titanic. And now the same Polar Prince ship is bringing back the parts of their busted up Titan submersible. Kind of like JFK with Air Force One, how Air Force One flew him out to Dallas and then flew his body back in a coffin. Let's check out the detail on the orientation here. So I slowed it down 8x or so. And as we come around the back side of it here, yeah, I mean, you can see this thing is really mostly intact. Even the strap is still on it. But here, as you look on the back edge of it, you can see the OceanGate logo, the Titan. is just coming into view there. So, this would just be so heartbreaking if you're the operator of this ROV. An hour ago, the Coast Guard released a second video for us. So let's take a look at this. Okay, now they gave us this second video here, which looks like it was taken probably about an hour and a half later. Now this right here, that looks like the viewport to me. And it looks like it's in pretty good shape. I don't think that's the titanium dome because it would be bigger like this over here. This is the titanium dome. There you can see the ring. And this looks like a huge chunk of the 5-inch
All right, cool.
carbon fiber hull
It is really freaking
still
big
attached to this part of it. So it was not a clean shear off of there, as you can see. So during the implosion, it looks like
there you go,
the
guys.
titanium cone was blown right off, and then it just sank further down to the bottom. That was a
All right, there you go. I think that's good. We're caught up on that. I mean, there's nothing new there. I thought that this was like new footage and it had some relevance, but whatever. I don't think I went back and caught that part before. So we saw it now. We saw it now. Let's see. Anything else in the whole little man? I tell you what, guys, I found something really cool. That's going to be on a future episode. I'll just go ahead and let you know what it's going to be now, since we have a few minutes. Like nice round numbers, but check this out. This is a video that I'm probably going to do, like maybe old school watch party Sundays or an unveiling reality. Maybe, I don't know if it really fits into unveiling reality, but it's good news too. I mean, I'll just show you it, and then I'm not going to play any of it. But check this out. You see the title? Mutiny in China. Young Chinese are threatening CCP rules. And they have this new philosophy, the youth over in China. This is good news because, like, destroying communism in China is a big deal. But they're very much a threat, and they very much do subversive things here in the United States. And a lot of them are sneaking in and across the border, which makes you wonder if they're just sitting around waiting for us to go into collapse before they show up all of a sudden and become a problem. This term is called Bailan, right?
A Chinese term, gained immense popularity in China.
Yeah, Bailan.
So much so that in just 6 months, it got more than 91 million views
Little
on
preview,
Chinese app
little
Weibo.
preview.
I mean, 91 million views in a country like China? You can imagine how serious the issue must have been. Because China generally bans such trends which could pose a threat to
Go back a little bit. That's a term. What it means is let it rot, which is a very interesting way. Like they're checking out of the system, right? They're like, yeah, we're going to help you support it. And that on the backs of
what exactly is this rebellion? Why are Chinese youth so frustrated? And most importantly, how are these problems becoming a nightmare for China? In March of 2022, Bailan, a Chinese term, gained immense popularity in China. So much so that in just 6
Okay, I just showed you that. Okay, so it means let it rot. And basically, because they had the one-child policy, they're having like of course they're having issues having enough people to take over all the things that go on there, right? It's a big country, and so they're having a population decrease. I wonder if they'll let some migrants in. Do you think they'll just let migrants in to take their place? No, no. Hey, we can send them ours. How about that? We'll just do that. No, but the youth there are like, screw this stuff. They're sick of it, and they're like, you guys need us. We're like, let it rot. We don't care. Let your whole society crumble. We don't care. We're willing to accept being ordinary. Like they're willing to accept their fate, right? And said, so if we're gonna live in tyranny, then we'll just let it rot. And that's the idea. So they don't have enough people. They're not taking on jobs. They're not trying to get educated. They're kind of just checking out and saying, okay, party on, right? And they're not taking care of the elders, which is very much part of Chinese tradition. So a lot of things are starting to fall apart there. And no matter how much authoritarianism and violence they try to put on them, it's not working, right? So now they're trying to negotiate with them. Yeah, they're just saying, yeah, we'll be ordinary. We don't want to be exceptional. We don't want to be part of your communist regime. So that's some good news, man. I always wonder how China would meet its match, right? And if there was any kind of real, true resistance or rebellion or anti-establishment inside of China, and we're starting to see that they have become very sophisticated and very clever in their pushback on how do you deal with. I mean, we may need to know this. We may need to remember this for later in case things don't go well here, right? You might have to end up telling your children to check out instead of try to fight. Because eventually, because of the way things are going, they may just have the same problem. But let's hope that we don't get there. Like, our idea is that we can fight and stop this from happening, and that's what we try to do. We want to win reality, not lose it, right? We want to be winning it. So that's the point of all that. But I mean, China, who's already lost reality over there, it's in the hands of the CCP. They're able to say, okay, fine, you guys win. You win, but we're not going to do shit. Okay, fine. You know, whatever. Who's going to power your plants and grow your crops and unload your boxes and do your dumb shit, right? We're not. You know, you can take that and shove it. So now they're trying to plead. I mean, to the point where they're pleading with them instead of trying to intimidate them. It's interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. We'll see with the response of the communists to this rebellion that seems to be working amongst the youth. We'll see what their response is to that and how they handle that, especially when they tie their hands by not wanting to replace them with foreigners, because, you know, over there they hate foreigners. They hate anybody that's not Chinese. Chinese supremacy is welcome over there. It's okay. You ever notice how, like, the only place in the world where the majority being the majority isn't cool is here? Any other place in the world, nobody cares. Nobody cares that there's not any diversity, equity, and inclusion in Africa. Nobody cares that there's none of that in China or India or anywhere else. Nobody cares except for where there is white majorities. For some reason, I don't understand why, but they seem to have a problem with it there. If it's the UK, if it's America, if it's other places, they have a problem with that. But in other countries all around the world, they don't seem to care that there's no DEI. Interesting, isn't it? Very interesting. I'm wondering, like, can you imagine, like, hearing about that happening in some place like Ghana or Kenya or something like that, where they're protesting because there's not enough diversity, equity, and inclusion in their governments and in their media and everything that they do? Like, they would laugh. They'd be like, "You're crazy, man. Get out of here." All right, guys. Thank you so much for being here this evening. Yeah, it is very interesting, isn't it? Thank you so much for being here this evening. I love hanging out with you guys. You're the best. You guys are, you know, only targeting Europe and the Americas, the West. Yeah, it's crazy. It's really wild, isn't it? It's really wild. It's really wild. It's kind of wild. Yep. Smash that like button, please, for me. Thank you so much for being here this evening. You guys rock, man. I love hanging out with you, each and every one of you. Thank you so much for being here, supporting the channel. Hello to all the new people out there. By the way, we got up to 590 on Rumble, so we're making our way to 500 there. And X has had a great couple days. We are up to 573 over there. Yeah, I've been out there meeting some new folks, some base folks, people, like-minded people, and talking with them, adding them. They're adding me. It's working out pretty good. So hopefully a lot of them enjoy the content, stick around and help us promote it. And we will I will be back Saturday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for Winning Saturday Night. That's our kickback weekend show where we do the good news of the week. We do funny and cool videos, and we just have a good time and have some laughs and just chill out together after we're doing all this hard work during the week, keeping up with current events and staying based and helping win this election by being part of it and raising awareness and talking about the issues and doing what we do in our everyday lives. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Thanks again so much. Thanks to everybody that supports the channel. Thanks to everybody that super chats and its members. And thanks to everybody that mods and comes by. And it's just awesome, man. You guys rock, man. To each and every one of you, man, have a great evening. And until next time, stay based and keep on winning.
I'm going to leave you with this one final message. We're going to win the election. We're going to win it big. We're going to win it bigger than ever before. We're going to do things that nobody believed. It's going to be more important even than 2016. We are going to make America great again. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody.